All right, hello. Here we go. We're doing this. Let me swap to face cam. Ooh, swishy effect. Hey, how's it going? My name's Lee Brady, co-host of Vectormen, the podcast, Vectormen podcast, and as much touted on the podcast, I'm going to be doing a live video ranking the 102 games I've played in the holy year of 2020. May the number never be as high again. So, the way it's generally going to work, and I'm hoping that my nerves and anticipation settle down, because I put a ridiculous amount of time and effort into writing this thing without a second thought about presenting it. So, we're really playing by ear at this point, but settle in because it's going to be a ridiculously long experience. Just absolutely. To give an estimate, we have a 48. I have a 48-page document about writing all 102 games into some sort of opinion and experience, plus a summary, plus some ranked lists and stuff like that. Additional content. So we're looking like a 5-hour stream, which I was not remotely prepared for today. That wasn't what I was planning to do today, but not just it opened up, whatever it was. That ring is gonna bang off things. So that's exactly. We're just gonna have to get into it. But for the most part, it's going to be me talking, me probably looking like I'm reading from a list because I am, and we're just. The original concept for the video was that I was going to actually make a streamlined, edited, cool person version of this, and instead I've decided to do a long take live version. Both ideas were for nobody but me anyway, so not a massive concession or loss, and this will probably be a lot more fun or interesting to watch on YouTube later. Sorry, Twitch crew, but that's where we're at. And I'm desperately thirsty. It's been a terrible decision to do any of this. But yeah, so for those who don't know, those who are just tuning in, co-host of the Vectormen podcast with the singularly titled Lords. And for the entirety of 2020, I've been using what I've called the content tracker, all one word in bold, to keep track of all the games I've played in the year, sort them into categories, basically just so that I don't forget A, what I've played during the year, and B, what I'm currently playing. You know, like because the way I go about games for the podcast is I usually juggle about 7 or 8 games on different platforms, and you know, some of that could get lost in the fray timeline wise. So I created the content tracker to keep on top of all of that. And in this year, I've managed to play, beat is the wrong word, I've managed to play at least 106 games. I know it's higher than that, but I have definitely played 106 games that are going to be mentioned on this list. And here I have added a note that says I used to have a maniacal rant here about how after beating Dark Souls this year, there was like this vacuum in my life that required a ridiculously stupid project to fill, and that's where I put my time and effort into thinking about doing this. And then I edited all of that paragraph after paragraph down to this sentence explaining that I once explained that in ridiculous detail. The real reason I'm doing this is I just like year-end lists. I like capping off a year with something that you can reflect on in future years. Cat hairs. Things you can reflect on in later years and be like, oh yeah, you know, look at all the time and effort I put into that. Like I did 2 year-end lists for my film podcast, Atlantic Screen Connection, with Jason Michael. And those are the ones I'd be more inclined to go back to than any other episode, just because I'm interested in what the hell I liked from the respective years of 2016 and I'm going to say 2017. I enjoyed doing that kind of stuff, and I was trying to think of a way to do it for games, but if it were, the thing is, in any one year, I don't play a lot of the games that come out that year. So instead, I decided I played a lot of games this year in general. Why not talk about all of them, and then make them into an arbitrary listing, a ranking, which doesn't at all. It's not going to make a lot of sense, like, in general. And that's why I've devised a bunch of qualifiers and explanations and rules to help you make sense of where I was trying to make sense of all of this. So let's get into those rules, shall we? So each game on the list has been played. Number one, I should say, each game on the list has been played by me in 2020 to qualify for inclusion. I did put a deadline to this, which was when I started writing the video. Did I write down the date I stopped? December 8th. So there's been a couple of podcast episodes since that have had mentions of games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Fire Emblem games that I played this year. And neither of those are going to be on. None of those is going to be on the list because they missed the deadline. So they'll be in next year's list. God help them. But yeah, also, I also wanted to distinguish, like, I didn't have to beat them this year to qualify for the list, but it did have to be like a significant enough experience to qualify. Like, if it was a game that I've already played and beat before, like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, I played and beat streaming very early in 2020. Would those make the list? No, I've played and beat those many a time, and the experience wasn't that significantly different that I was like, oh yes, truly, it qualifies as its own entity. I think that the only reason a game that I have played before would make the list this year is that the experience was different. I beat it this year, where I haven't beat it before. It was like a glossy port or remake of something I played this year, or years before that has come back out. That would make the list. I also didn't count live service games that I've been playing on and off for the last couple of years. Some of them will be in honorable mentions. But excuse me. In general, a lot of the games that are like I've just on and off playing year after year, which are mercifully very few. There was no point in counting them as like 2020 experience. Like, the experience has been more or less the same for years now, so they'll get their mention, but they're not getting like a whole entity, a whole entry on the list. Like, I clearly like them, but would I? Why water down the experience by trying to compare them to stuff specific to 2020? All right, point number 2. The ranking has nothing to do with game quality, really. I'm going to be talking mostly from preferred experiences. So, like, the number 1 spot is going to be my favorite experience of a game I've played in 2020. I'm going to say 2020 so much in this video. It's going to be just absurd. So yeah, the top experience is going to be the game that I've like, the top position is going to be the game that I've had the best overall experience playing, as the year went on, and then it's kind of going to trickle down from there to the 102 spot, which will be like the game that I had the worst experience playing this year. So that's pretty much it. It's not going to be based on like the games objectively being better than one another. A lot of these games are almost certainly, like a lot of the games at the very bottom of the list are probably really, really good games for people that they're designed for, or if whatever happened didn't happen in my experience of the game. But I'm not gonna I'm not going to put them up at the top of my list just because they're objectively better. And I think this is going to come more into play at the top 20. Where you're going to see a bunch of games that you're going to know are like better games. Maybe like some of the greatest games of all time I've managed to play this year, and they're not going to be on the number one spot for sure. I can tell you that now, because my taste and my experience would have to factor in, and often the water gets a little murky from that point on. And then third point is each game has been assigned a category to help show you how far I got with it in the year. So I'll explain this while showing you the reference, the thing that I opened the camera with. So if you check this out, that is that's our template. As the categories go on, as the ranks go on, that's going to be swapped out with image of number 102 right down to number 1, and the background color and the category at the top right is going to be changed depending on where I got with it. So the categories are completed, which will be in clean, which will be in green. So you know, once a game has been finished, that's going to be green in color. There's going to be ongoing. This, by the way, these are categories in the content tracker itself. Like, I didn't just make these up for this segment. I sort these things for myself day to day, and then and now I'm passing on the savings to you. So ongoing is orange. These are games that I am still playing at time of writing the list. Obviously, some of them maybe I've beat since. I think I managed to finish up a few, so there shouldn't be a lot in ongoing. But those games, you know, just to let you know, some of those games are going to be like not a finalized opinion. You can see how a list might bulk out that way. The third category is taking a break. That's going to be in red. This one is kind of the same as the last category. It's kind of the same as ongoing. These are games that I've played for a while, and when I'm mentally compartmentalize them into its own list where I have told myself I'm going to come back to them, but I also feel like, you know, they're not priority. You know, it could be years before I come back to them. I tend not to put games that I put like an R or so into on here. Mostly like games that I've played a good bit of, but I've fallen off the bandwagon and want to give them some time to simmer before inevitably returning. But they're also games that I'm not saying I'll not come back to at some point. There are a lot of games on a different part of this that I've moved into taking a break, and I'll get to that. The fourth category is going to be yellow. It's called Dabbled. These games that this is a category as an olive branch to all the games I've unfairly dismissed during the year. Probably less than an hour of gameplay in each, so it's going to be yellow. And I'll tell you that my opinion is not a good opinion on those ones. The fifth category is Abandoned. That's going to be in gray. On the contrary to Dabbled, I think Abandoned is a defined experience. These are games that I've played, and I'm pretty sure I'll not be coming back to anytime soon at all, unless like circumstances significantly change. Abandoned means I've given more than enough time to something, and I know one thing's for sure, and that thing is, unless there's some change mentally, it's off the list. But as I was just about to say, I've moved a lot of stuff that was in that category to taking a break. Some including ones I've talked about on the show. A lot of stuff has been moved across in advance. So, you know, now that anything that's in Abandoned, I'm almost certain is Abandoned. The next category is Honorable Mention. It's going to be in blue, and there's 4 of those, and I'll talk about them before I start the list. And the last category was called Cubbyhole, and I struck it because it was already getting too hard to explain what the fuck I was doing. Alright, and we can move back to MeCam. I think you've got a good enough idea of what the template's going to look like. That'll make sense, and I'm going to get sick of looking at the things. Alright, alongside the main list, this is fourth point, alongside the main list, there's going to be a quick countdown of the best games I've played this year that actually came out this year. In fact, there's going to be a small list for every year of every game that has been played by me this year. So the earliest back game, the oldest game I played this year came out in 1990, and or the oldest game on this list anyway. I mean, I played like Super Mario Brothers and stuff, but like I didn't put it on the list because I've played Super Mario Brothers before. So yes, from 1990 onwards, each year is going to have a small best and worst list all of their own. It'll be very quick. It won't take forever. I just thought go as hard as you possibly can on the wasting everybody's time motif. That was the idea. That was the dream. Some caveats, or not caveats, sort of provisos for that. I'm only using European release dates for all those games, so a lot of these games are going to sound like they've come out of the wrong year compared to what you've heard in other videos or facts. But I've sourced all their European release dates, and I'm going to be using those just to keep everything consistent. If a game is the only game on my list that came out that year, it wins both best and worst game of the year by default. There's a couple of those. That's because if you're in a one-person competition, you're cheating. So get more friends. Third point, don't take the 2020 list too seriously. I've written that down as a reminder that it's just because these are the games that I played in 2020 doesn't mean like I wouldn't call it a definitive ranking of the games that came out in 2020. Mostly because I didn't play a lot of them, but also because there's definitely stuff on this list that are absolutely perfectly fine games that weren't for me and got ranked lower because of it. So the experience is going to be slightly different. But there's as an example of what's not on the list from that came out this year, I didn't play Doom Eternal, I didn't play The Last of Us 2, I didn't play Ghost of Tsushima, I didn't play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I didn't play Final Fantasy Remake, I didn't play Watch Dogs, whatever it was called, Legion, didn't play Yakuza Like a Dragon, didn't play Avengers, didn't play Half-Life Alyx, didn't play Call of Duty, Resident Evil 3, Dreams, Star Wars Squadrons, Minecraft Dungeon, any Destiny, Valorant, Hyrule Warriors 2, Crusader Kings 3, Gears Tactic, Wasteland 3, Desperado 3, Spelunky 2, Paper Mario, Origami King, Genshin Impact, Demon Souls, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Godfall, Take Your Phoenix and Sleep Horny, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, what's that other one? Immortals? Oh, that is Phoenix, Sleep Horny. Yeah, I didn't play any of those this year. And that's, I'm pretty sure almost all of those are like your typical Game of the Year candidates. I had on the list, I didn't play Cyberpunk, which wasn't out at the time of writing the list. I now have played Cyberpunk. And I'm glad it's not on the list anyway, because I'd rather deal with that on its own time. So we'll talk about that next year, how it all sits. And anyway, that thankfully is the end of the rules. So we're gonna crack on. Just catching myself. This is about with some preparation. You can get a better haircut. You can pick a t-shirt that actually, you can just get a shower this morning and then decide, bam, I'm doing this, so this is what I'm wearing. Alright, so you're going to notice a small moment between every entity on this list where I have to juggle a bunch of fucking files because to get this thing to translate on the other screen, I gotta move stuff around. Yeah, alright, exciting. Oh, you know what? That's the wrong one. This is extra exciting. Because I forgot I'm doing the honorable mentions first. I almost went straight into number 102. All right, so let's do. Start it off. I've got 4 honorable mentions, and the very first one. I should have dragged the image while I was talking. Very first one is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Again, honorable mentions are games that I've played this year quite a bit, but you know, like, I'm not going to rank them because the experience didn't fundamentally change. I just wanted to give a shout out to the games that I've played quite a bit of this year that deserve some sort of notification, some sort of marker to say, hey, there it is, did it. So the first one I'm going to give a shout out to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This year we got Byleth, Min, Steve, Sephiroth. That's good. That's a good mix for the year. Or so it would be if I could host parties or something. I'm still terrible at this game. I streamed it at one point in the year, and it was awful. It was a humiliating experience. And there's only so much self-abasement one can take. So here's to you, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And here's hoping we can get Kada from Fire Emblem, the first one. Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. If we can get that for DLC, that'd be great. It'd be very exciting to a new Fire Emblem fan to have more Fire Emblem characters. Honorable mention number 2 goes out to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I burned through my second full playthrough of Breath of the Wild in a blurry week or so in the summer, and just wanted to give a shout out to say this game's still absolutely wonderful. Probably always will be. This time I definitely realized that the dungeons are the rule breakers in the game, though. Like, those are what doesn't work for the gameplay for me, not the exploring and messing around. Breath of the Wild changes Zelda so significantly that the dungeons actively de-escalate everything you've learned rather than heighten. So that's how divisive that game is as a Zelda for Zelda fans, I imagine. But hell of a game. Yeah, I've definitely played it already. You know, like the experience wasn't fundamentally different, but deserves a shout out anyway because I did sink, you know, a crazy 50, 60 hours into it again. So, what can you do? Honorable mention 3. You know, I noticed the number keeps saying 0. It's just because that's where they are ranking wise. They are rank 0. Biohazard Battle. The first game I remember actively deciding in terms of money to own. I'm gonna list a bunch of Sega games soon for various reasons. I wanted to say that Biohazard Battle is exempt from all judgment, both because of its sweet bass lines and because I know it intimately enough to not qualify it, even if I did talk about it on the podcast this year. And it's been a good long while since I last played it. There's got to be exceptions to the rules. So good job, Biohazard Battle. You're exempt, and you're wonderful. Final honorable mention goes out to my boy. It's Overwatch. This is the live service game that I am chained to and have been, I think, going on 3rd year now. To be honest, I clean forgot about Overwatch when I was writing up this list. And it sure has been a weird road, Overwatch in 2020. This is the year in which the Overwatch League split itself up into regions after its attempts at globally live games came crashing down. It's also the year that it spent in the shadow of the Overwatch 2 announcement, which happened, I think it happened at the end of 2019. Allowing our minds to conjure up the possibility of a game that would have all the fixes we wanted, while still chaining us to the game that hasn't got those fixes, was probably not the smartest idea. But we still got Ecco. We got a new character. I think we got a new map. Did we? Maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm imagining that. Anyway, it's not your fault. We grew somewhat more distant this year, Overwatch. It's been 3 years. We were bound to turn our attention to improving ourselves or something. And let's hope we can meet up next year. Maybe we can make this work. You know, more than likely though, I'll just get mad and you'll go stay with your parents as usual. What is that joke, Lee? What was I? What state was I in when I wrote that? All right, that's smart. Good. I am going to prep the next 102. I'm going to take a very quick break. So, catch you in a second. Maybe having a coffee, 2 Diet Cokes, and a glass of water, 2 glasses of water, before doing this was a bad idea. It was a bad call. But who's to say? 2020, the year of hindsight. I really should get a text thing there that says, "Be right back." It's going to be a long stream. You're going to have to permit me to walk away every couple of minutes. It's also, the sun will probably go down between filming this unless I can burn this out in 2 hours, which I really shouldn't. You know, I should take my time and endure. And as should you. Alright, let's go to number 102. Let's start the list off proper, and let us start with my new nemesis, my greatest enemy, Ecco the Dolphin. Ecco the Dolphin is a game I've played before. I've played it several times before on several different platforms. Each time I just didn't fucking understand it. I was too young to read between the lines of the video game's design. Just found it obtuse and awkward. Today I stand before you a changed man. On this replay of Ecco that I had this year, I actually could read between the lines. I could understand the game design. What I saw, I loved. I hate Ecco the Dolphin. I hate that I've tried to love this game for so long, only to realize now at 28 years old, it's just never going to happen. And not only that, where I thought it was my fault for not being in tune with the game enough, it turns out it was Ecco the Dolphin's fault all along. And I should have known. All my life, dolphins have never had my back. I was 7 when dolphins tried to wreck our ship off wreck a ship off County Clare. I asked to go see dolphin sightseeing, and then we were led into a storm, and dolphins jumped up and down from the waves as our ship nearly capsized. Then I was 11 when a dolphin took us, a talking dolphin took us into an underground bunker in Porto Ventura to board a deep sea mission where we were nearly killed by a CGI kraken. And then I was the ages of 12 to 28 when I first played Ecco the Dolphin and lived in the shadow of it, thinking maybe I'm just bad at games. Man, the light is fading so much faster than I thought it would. Maybe I can turn on this spotlight here for me. It's kind of spooky looking. Close enough? I don't have a ring light, I just have it like a desk lamp. You can tell because it's yellow lighting. Maybe I can hit this. What does that do? It's blue lighting. Can I get white? Doesn't look healthy. Looks like a sickening array. I look ill. Like the shade is hitting my skin in a purple light. You can turn green or something. Purple. These are the important things to work out during the list. That one is purple. How about eerie blue? Just gonna have to roll with it. Pray that when night comes, the lighting all works out. Really thought this through. And I've only had nearly a month to do it. Ecco is, on paper, a simple puzzler, but its problems are that it is a stress nightmare. There's low air, there's a large hitbox, slippy maneuverability, constant hard-to-avoid obstacles, labyrinthine level design, obscure evil fish language. Why didn't I... Did I use my phone, or did I not use my phone? How many points was that? It's not some insurmountable monster. I bet you, if I sat down and played Ecco the Dolphin, I would get it. It would all click. I could beat it and I would love it. But I'm not going to give it that. Just not going to. I'm not allowing it to control me any longer. There's nothing I can do about this light. I'm just gonna have to. It's actually worse. I'm gonna accept the daylight. Let the daylight in. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? It's all just to see me anyway. Alright. Let's move on to number 101. Worst game I played this year. I think under the weight of how long it's taken me to accept how terrible Ecco is, it deserves to be the worst experience I had in 2020. Maybe I'll take the glasses off. Maybe that'll work. Who knows? Alright. Here we go. Number 101 is from 2020, therefore making it the worst game I've played this year from this year. It is Hyperscape, a game that I have written on paper, digital paper, and I'm pretty sure in every previous mention I have made of this game, including on podcast, I have called this game Hyperscapes. Its title is actually much worse than that. It's Hyperscape, singular. Awful. Hyperscape, number 101, is a design opportunity missed. It's tall, monogeneric skyscrapers, scrounge heavy weapon upgrade system, and random grab bag of Overwatch light abilities combined to engender the very worst of the overly cautious, thumb-sucking gameplay style that gnaws at the rotten core of PUBG iterative battle royales. And yet it's all made somewhat worse by the potential within Hyperscapes. As I have said on the podcast many a time, it should have been an Unreal game. It should have been an Unreal Tournament-esque game. It should have been vast and snappy. That scrappy upgrade your weapon by roaming the map idea works best at a game that engenders fluid, fast, crazy motion, not a game that engenders sucking your thumb, hiding in cover, and waiting till there's only 10 of you left to snipe somebody, which is what all battle royales do. If it's a countdown to who's best, your best play is to avoid combat till the very end. So scrambling around picking up stuff, I guess it pushes you out, forces you to move around, except that they're all in skyscrapers where you can't see through them, and you're basically always safe to run around, so it doesn't make any difference. Hyperscapes is a terrible game, which is a shame. I had wanted to like it, but I counted it as completed, as you see from the green background of the thing, because I played 2 games of it. And I'm going to say I completed all the battle royales, because I got enough of them to know what they are, to be like, Done with those. Number 100 also came out in 2020. Very, very recently, in fact. It's called Worms Rumble. And, you know, they probably haven't made the worms move in real time all these years for a reason, guys. It's because it wouldn't be fun. It's hard to say how disappointing this kind of game is. I'm a big fan of the Worms games. Quick diatribe. What the hell happened to the stiff upper lip voice voice option from the Worms games? Did the actor die or something? Like who did the posh British accent, the army general accent? For some reason, somewhere around Worms World Party, they changed the default to the squeaky Worms voice you know and hear all the time these days. But like the original voice they used to have for him was like an old, exaggerated general character voice, like a British commander, called Stiff Upper Lip, and they had it in games right up to the 3D Worms games for the PS2, and then they just disappeared. And Worms Rumble is the first game, the Worms game I played in a while that hasn't offered it at all. And what happened? Why are you taking away my favorite voice option? This helps me identify with Worms games. You're only gaining spite points at this point, for failing to cater to my nostalgia. But yeah, Worms Rumble, it's not a good game. It's not well thought out. They haven't made the worms move around in real time for a reason. It's because it doesn't work. It's not fun to play. Number 99, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. If you ever held out hope that you were wrong about something in your childhood, and that you would find a secret passion in something that has been with you all along, may you pray that you haven't staked those passions on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 being the underappreciated pinnacle of the series, because it really, really isn't. Held on to this for as long as I can, hoping, praying that someday I'd have a PC good enough to run it at full capacity, and then I'd be blown away and realize Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 really was the best of all the games on some level. And it was worth spending my own cash for, or whatever happened that I ended up getting that in the year of release. But we got it for free off the Epic Game Store this year, which helped me immediately put to bed the fact it's a really deeply unenjoyable game to play. In the business, we call pinning our stakes on things we already secretly knew were bad from our childhood experiences as an Ecco realization. So that's number 99. Number 98. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. And I mean, maybe this gets really fun later on. I don't know. I've harped on this so many times on the podcast. But honestly, if your game gives you a quintuple jump map skip move right off the bat, it's practically a tacit admission. Water's going down really badly. It's practically a tacit admission from the designers that they've only kept the map in because they think you would expect it to be there. Even though they also admit you wouldn't want to spend much time in it either. That's right. Some of the entries on this list are just badly designed games. It's not all my petty opinion. Oh no, I didn't prepare enough for this next one. I'm gonna have to see if I can. I'm gonna have to get my favorite clip of all time and play it for you. There's importance. There's importance to be found in the next entry, which I'll bring up for you now. Number 97 is Need for Speed Payback. I need to get the cutscene. I need to get the first cutscene from this game. Opening scene. I think this is it. Yes, yes. All right. I've got to show you something incredible. I'm not even sure if this is a bad game, to be honest. I didn't play it long enough to know. I just knew I'd hit as much as I could stomach. Let's go to cameraless mode. We can turn off the podcast plug, and then we can go to display capture. Yeah, that's the one. That's the ticket. There we are. And let's see. I can move you out of the way for now, I suppose. This cutscene is just so good. I've played it 1,000,000 times. I absolutely love it. There's no desktop audio. Let me just turn it right down on my side of things. Yeah.
Nice moves.
Don't expect that to work next time.
Always one step ahead, buddy.
Just everything about this section here, the delay in how long it takes for these people to meet, become friends. This guy gets out of the car and it takes like 30-odd seconds to walk over to the dead silence in between.
Nice moves.
Honestly, I need to slow that down. Play that back, slow it down. Playback speed. Just think of all the dead space between this part here. Look at that. Look how much time between that.
Nice moves.
Don't expect that to work
And then the
next time.
dialogue's terrible.
Always one step ahead, buddy.
Always one step ahead, buddy. It goes on like that for a while. There's this car pulls up. Play at normal speed. It's super stinted. Just like nothing happens for so long.
It's done, Morgan. You'll be driving the prize. You and your crew better pull this off.
See, what did I say? Lena Navarro is the best damn fixer in Silver Rock.
That's screenwriting, baby. That's how you do it. That's great. Anyway, let's move back to the show. I honestly, the whole reason I wanted to do a properly edited video was just to make that a recurring bit throughout, and just kind of keep harping and putting that in there. You know, always one step ahead, buddy, or whatever he says. Anyway, I might be dreadfully wrong about this. Need for Speed Payback might be the room of video games, for all I know. Like, it could be incredible, and I've made a terrible mistake in not pursuing it any further. Will I ever find out, though? God knows. Anyway, number 96 is a game called NULLPOINTER. There are a bunch of itch.io games on here that I don't really want to harp on. I just didn't have a great experience with them. And I'm just bringing it up to say I did play it this year. I'll probably not talk about a lot of them constantly. So you know, we're actually saving time in small ways. By moving swiftly on to number 95, which is called Wheels of Aurelia, which in itself is a bit of an itch.io game as well. I believe I actually played it on itch.io. But you can get this on Switch and PlayStation. And saying that about NULLPOINTER, which I didn't have a lot to say about, I do want to emphasize that Wheels of Aurelia I beat it, I think 3 times, because it's a short game, but it has multiple endings. It's got like I wouldn't say procedurally generated, but it does have like a diverging story paths. where you sort of just drive this car. There's not a lot of gameplay to it, and then you sort of interact with dialogue, cutscenes, or little choices as you go, which sort of changes the output of the story. The difference is I never really liked a single character, so that kind of undercut any enjoyment I could have had out of it, unfortunately. But you know, maybe there's a lot for other people to like. I liked, just say a nice thing, I liked that you got history of Italy, like period accurate information about Italy as you played through the game. Because Aurelia is apparently, I don't know, you start off in like outside Rome or something like that, and then you're driving to Aurelia. I don't think you ever get there, and then you get a little epilogue screen. Anyway, very, very important. Number 94 is Rocket Ages 2. It's probably gonna be a moment where I talk to my wife, Maria, my wife, when she comes in, because she's just back from a walk. So just gotta say that out loud now, that the professionalism of this will fall apart very quickly. Rock of Ages 2, bigger and bolder. Honestly, this comes down to just not imagining a game that was more fun than this one actually was. I thought this game was going to be about rolling a big rock, smashing things, and big dumb fun. And it turns out there's like a carefully implemented strategic element to the whole thing, and tower defense and stuff like that. And I'm like, why complicate what was a perfect idea? Just playing a big rock that flattens things, you know, like just a downhill Katamari Damacy. That, I mean, doesn't that sound great? Why wasn't that the game? Not to say it's a bad game, just I didn't have nearly the experience I wanted with it. Anyway, number 93 is a game called Crackdown. It has incredible cover art. There's also, as well as a bunch of itch.io games, there's a bunch of Sega games on here that I only played for a very short time, and so I couldn't possibly comment on them. So I'll be basically skipping them. But that's why they've got the dabbled indicator, just to let you know that my opinion ain't worth shit on these ones, including number 92, which is a game called Shadow Dancer. It's a game where you play as a guy and a dog, and I'm not entirely sure what else. Apparently, Secret of Shinobi is part of the subtitle. I don't remember that in the version I played, but maybe it had a slightly different name in Europe. Anyway, number 91 is a gut punch.
10-year-olds, which you have to imagine was...
Number 91 is a gut punch. Super Mario Galaxy. Now, I use the Wii art here, but I'm actually talking about the Switch version. Super Mario Galaxy. And to the weirdo rubbing himself through his pocket, scouring the internet for someone who agrees with him that Super Mario Galaxy is a bad game, I want you to get the fuck out of here. I want you to leave. I've baited you, and now I want you to get out. I love Super Mario Galaxy. It might even be my favorite 3D Mario. In fact, let's say it is. Let's for sake of argument. And then, therefore, I also see the guy who's, you know, fashioning their moist shirt into a whipping device, about to tell me that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a better game. You can also leave. You don't have to leave as fast as the first guy, but you still have to leave. Here's a joke. Arguing over Mario games is like arguing over which top athlete at the Olympics from your country you want to win the gold. They're all playing for the same team. Who cares who wins? Huh? Joke. Comedy. Love it. I do not love Super Mario Galaxy on the Switch. It's playable, certainly. But if it's your only option, I mean, it's certainly not a bad one. It's a fine one. It's okay. but it really, 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 really lacks something about the Wii Remote. It felt genuinely awful to me to play. When you've trained your mind, I beat Super Mario Galaxy I think 4 times if you count the Luigi runs, and so I can't I can't detach the Wii remotes from that game in my head. And playing it with the Joy-Cons, which are tiny and ugly and scrawny, super awful, and it didn't work any better in handheld mode. It didn't feel fun to play as a handheld game. It felt like a TV game that didn't play properly. So I've ranked it bitterly to show my disdain for this Mario 3D All-Stars version that came out this year. And alright, we're going to move on to number 90. Because why not wound both mascots? 2020 marks the last time I try to enjoy you, Sonic Lost World. You've had your chance. You've had multiple chances. If it was love, it would have happened by now. If it was even a dumb, sexy, drunken mistake, I think it would have happened as well. You know, I think we would own up to it and move on. But it's nothing. I feel nothing for you. You're nothing to me, Sonic Lost World. And that stings a little bit because it's one of the games that when am I like swelling there? I just got like a red patch. Maybe it's all the purple light. Sonic Lost World was one of those games that, off the back of Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors, and Sonic Unleashed, which I liked, Sonic Lost World looked like a really cool idea that looked fun in trailer form, and in real life it played fucking all over the place, and I've never been able to grasp the design of it to enjoy it for any real length of time. Here's number 89. It's called Vector 2089, and it is one of those games I said I'd be skipping, so I'm skipping it. It's a sort of 2D F-Zero game, and it's okay. You know what? I actually would say if it was a game that was, I think I might have said this on the podcast, but if it was a game that was included, like the pinball game on your Windows computer, you would love it. But it's not, so we're moving on. Midnight Ultra. Another game, another itch.io game, kind of like a Doom Light with a crazy color palette. Memorable for its crazy color palette. I'll be able to reference it like a hipster cool critic for the rest of my life, saying I saw a eye-searing color palette like that before in the little known Midnight Ultra. Siri freaking out at me. That's the game. That's the game. No one give its dues, including me, officially on this list. Number 87. It's Halo. You know, I talked about not enjoying my return to Halo on the podcast, but something I did realize is that it's probably really dumb fun in co-op. Like, at least then you're distracted from it and from its dull military hoorah tone when you can just have a conversation over it. Like, I've liked worse games for less. So, you know, I'll probably ultimately come back to Halo. When I can get a friend to play it with. Playing it, also to say that I did genuinely have good memories of playing Halo the first time it came out. I just think in 2020 going back to that experience was a bad idea, especially alone, where I didn't have a lot of shooters at the time. That would have been a more memorable experience. There wasn't a lot of games like Halo, but now we've played a lot of games like Halo. And Halo just good for its day. That's not a bad thing. That's not a knock. It's also probably really fun in co-op, even today. But I found it... I had an Ecco realization there with that one. You know, where it's just you're your childhood doesn't match up anymore, and you know it's sort of, you know, like actually the Ecco realization thing I said was like it's something that you knew was bad all along. This time it was something I remember fondly that turned out to be not as fondly remembered as I thought. That's just badness. That's just nostalgia blindness, isn't it? Number 86 is Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've wrote a recurring joke for games like this. It goes like this. Thank you, Genie. Yes, a modern Microsoft Flight Simulator would be amazing. I may have missed the original simulator phase back in the 90s, but if this modern trend of silly simulators is anything to go by, I'm sure to have one hell of a time. Why can't I get the plane to take off, Genie? Why are there so many alarms in my ear? What is this, Genie? I turned the auto start on, but there doesn't seem to be an autopilot? Genie? And scene. That's my acting ability. Rushed out for you. It's going to be a recurring bit. The Genie bit. This is what happens when you write something and then you... It's the difference between writing something down and realizing you're not talented enough to get away with it. get away with any of your own writing. It's a good joke anyway. And scene was the real joke. Let's move swiftly on. Forget everything that just happened. Number 85 is Remnant from the Ashes. Until writing this list, I always thought it was Remnant from the Ashes, one long term, which I thought was a cool name. But apparently there's a colon there. The series name is Remnant, and this is From the Ashes, the first in the series. So we have to put a capital F on From, which is awful. It makes me ill. Anyway, this isn't my type of game anyway. Unfortunately, I bought into the prologue very hard on this one, in which you play as your self-created character in a Dark Souls-esque starting sequence where you have nothing. You're given a sword, you find out you've got Dark Souls-esque dodging mechanics, cool monster design, pretty world. And then you walk into a room and they hand you your choice of gun and a class based on guns, and then you go out there to shoot things, and like they found the most awkward way to introduce Destiny to you. It's third person Destiny. That's a real shame. Number 84 is Rise of the Tomb Raider. An abandoned game. It's not like it was terribly designed from what I played, but I realized it took me so long to come around to the previous entry, and I only really started to enjoy Tomb Raider from, I think, it must have been 2013. I only really came around to that because halfway through I was so tired and sick of the characters and the writing that I started skipping cutscenes. And then all I was left with was really, really fun gameplay. And then I walked away with that memory that it was fun to play, terrible to suffer through. And basically the same thing happened, except this time I just decided, why don't I play other games where I don't have to take half of it and leave the rest at the door. I would love to see Lara come back. Please, Lara. Just come back, be fun again. Number 83, Pokemon Shield DLC. After a year away from the game, having beaten it to within an inch of its life in a 2-week blur back in 2019, I was kind of excited at the prospect of rekindling those happy moments in DLC. I just couldn't will myself to keep playing. I was happy with my experience, and also done with the game. Turns out there's a reason why Pokemon Company wheel out a new one every year or so. They are aware of their game's own shelf life. And, fair enough to them. Number 82. Almost did it again. Almost did the wrong thing. Kingdom Hearts 3. Taking a break. Is this the first taking a break? I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me, which is a mistake. I'm going to say it is. There's no greater shame than attempting to play this on the TV while your wife idly chastises you for every deeply embarrassing moment. I will return to you, Kingdom Hearts 3, when she leaves me. Until then, I have too much pride on the line to embarrass myself. I mean, I could just play it up here. Nobody bothers me up here in my room. Number 81. Mega Man X. After years of baking Iron Ecco-Raptor Hansen's sequelitis videos into my brain, I was dead certain I would love this. I had worked hard. I had beat the first 3 Mega Man games. I was pretty ready to step it up and play the one I was certain to just appreciate. You know, the well-designed, perfect one. It turns out I am just not a Mega Man fan. I save scummed my way through those old games, and now it came time for the real deal, and I was just a bridge too far. I was like, ugh. I thought it was going to change, you know, significantly change. Like, not just like structure, not just like by adding Metroidvania to the mix. I thought it was going to change gameplay-wise somehow. And no, it just became Mega Man, the Metroidvania. And God damn it. Nothing I could want less. Number 80 is a game called Galaxy Force 2. It is a shooter. It is a bad one. It's also got not a lot to speak about. So let's move swiftly on to number 79. It's called Altered Beast. It's a classic. Mentally. Unfortunately, as much as I fought in my memories of this game being wonderful, it turns out Altered Beast might have been a mistake all along. I mean, thumbs up for some of the best recorded lines of its era. Rise from your grave is a all-time classic. Space Harrier 2. Again, I have nothing to say about it. Like, it's not even the worst game. You know what? I will endeavor to explain something about it, though. I have Space Harrier 2, like, right here. The Galaxy Force game, I have digitally, but this one I played on my actual Sega Mega Drive. Do I have the thing in here? Yeah. And you know what? Right, so I was working at the start of the year on a job that was, like, stressing me the hell out. And I decided to put some of the money I was getting from it into a streaming setup that I started to do at the very start of the year, not for Vectormen, but just for myself. And one of the games I started playing on it was Space Harrier 2. One of the games that I was excited to play about it was old Sega games, so I started going around shops to buy old Sega games. And like I saw the cover of this, and the cover of this is exceptional. It's back to front there, but you get the impression. It's incredible. And the title on the side of it is amazing. Harrier 2. It's just everything about this box is amazing, and I will always be happier with Space Harrier 2 as a box than as a game. I have fond memories. It was like a beacon of hope, though, at the time. So, you know, thanks to the idea of Space Harrier 2 rather than the game. Number 77 is a game called Skyrogue. It is an itch.io game, and I have not a lot to say about it. It's probably perfectly fine, but it's not fine enough. 80 Days is a game I'm almost certain is really good. I just have, again, I didn't play it for long enough to have anything to say about it. You know, you're seeing a fatal flaw in the 102 list, huh? We'll get to that. Alright. Don't do it. Number 75. Is this the right one? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was reading my annotated list in the wrong place. Democratic Socialism Simulator is a game I played, I beat. I would even say it's actually not terrible as an educational game. But as somebody who kind of already gets it, it wasn't really that educational to me personally, you know. And it's also probably a little too preachy for kids whoever you want to teach politics to. So, shrug. We move on to Jeopardy. You know, Jeopardy, the game, the actual TV show game, is a game that I really love the idea of. That I'm almost certain is really, really fun to play. And, you know, I've seen versions of this played on Game Grumps, older versions like NES versions, which have you type in stuff, which I love the idea of. I love games where like the error of it is based on how close you get to the actual answer in typing. But this whittled it down to choose between 3 options, which is very fucking boring, and it was all just so basic. So I mean, Maria and I, we bought that one to play together, and we played it like twice and then got sick of it. And that was during peak quarantine as well. That was our saving grace. Super Mario Sunshine is number 73, and while I would love to alright, you know the guys at Super Mario Galaxy that I was like, I kicked out for their bad opinions, their bad takes? I hope they're still gone, so that I can kind of agree. I do kind of not like this one a lot. Like, I hate to agree with just haters, but I just didn't find it all that fun. I felt for sure it would hit the same spot as Mario 64. It even plays kind of like that. I like that, but then I just wanted to see past the gimmick, and the gimmick's okay. It's just the actual level design that's terrible. The level design in Super Mario Sunshine is awful, and that's the problem. It's not the jetpack. It's that the levels are too wide, too loose, but also mix match of the later streamlined design. It's just a game that's kind of caught between worlds. And I think they split them out perfectly well. I think that they did Mario Galaxy for your course clear kind of games, where it's linear enough where you're just like, it's platforming challenges, where you fail, you get back on the horse. And then you got Super Mario Odyssey, which is about fucking around and exploring and messing around in a wide open space to find a bunch of tiny things. And I like that. Those two games are like the perfect side-by-side shades of Mario games, Super Mario 3D games. Sunshine is the worst of both, where you've got a wide open world that is punishingly difficult in a course clear platformer sense. And I think it's not good design. The jetpack thing has nothing to do with it. People really play up it's the fact he's got the water pack. It's got flood and that ruins the game. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just that what it's demanding of you from that is very precise platforming for what should be a sort of dandering, exploring experience, and it's just a game caught between worlds. Unfortunately, it's not its fault. Harry's there, and he says it's a rather painful experience. Yeah, see, that's I agree, and it's unfortunate because I really wanted to love it. And I ended up really not enjoying it at all. I got to a point where you're just trying to get this Yoshi from one particular area onto boats that are slippy to stand on to this just... I think it's an infamous part of the game too, like one of the worst parts in terms of pure platforming to get to a level. And I did it like 30 times and I never got it to work, and I hated it. I just hated it. And it's unfortunate. But it also in general, the level design is just fucking all over the place. Anyway, number 72. Is Ring Fit Adventure. Personally, I think Ring Fit Adventure is a genius game, and the only reason it's down so low is because every time I play it, it kicks the absolute fucking shit out of me, and I'm too much of a bitch to make myself want that anymore. So I'm putting it here in a sign of deference and spite, but also defeat. Ring Fit Adventure isn't just a fucking... It's a mean game. It is harsh on the bones, but the ring itself is incredible design, like really fucking good. And if they design a game that's for babies, I will come back to it. Number 71 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone : the game : Season 1 : Part 3 : Life Pack Expansion : Desert Ops. What did you call that again? Conflict Desert Storm? Anybody knows it? Anybody remember the Conflict games? Shout out if you remember the Conflict games. Anyway, I did have permadeath. I remember that. Co-op permadeath. That's really fascinating. I should really play that again. I don't own it anymore though. Anyway, I think I said somewhere that I didn't have Call of Duty at the opening rant. I wouldn't have Call of Duty on the list from 2020. I lied though. There's a little Call of Duty on here. I genuinely couldn't remember the part where I said though. At the time. Anyway, I had a good time in parts with that game. It's one of the better ones of its type. It's also just it's the same though. It's the same. I actually think the Gulag is a genius bit of design. I recommend more games do something like that. Generosity in your online experience helps cut out the fat. Helps keep you engaged. Second chances, always appreciate it. We've been doing that since arcade games. Let's go back to that. Gunstar Heroes at number 70. I dabbled in this, which means I spent less than an hour with it. Someday I'll come back to this. I literally touched it for 5 minutes. I just, while I'm here, I wanted to shout out to Treasure who made it. Treasure, the game design company, no longer exists as far as I'm aware. Has been eaten alive by somebody else. That company published one of my favorite childhood games, McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, which is a legitimately good game if my memory serves. But as we've proven, jokingly, we've proven my memory does not serve me well in this very list. So we're going to move on to number 69. Yo! It's Final Fantasy VII. Which I've only literally started. I beat the first mission, and I'm going to actually replay the whole thing from start, rather than roll with it and just forget details that are going to be important. I'll come back to this game in 2021. This meant to be the year where I played Final Fantasy VII, and I didn't do it. I didn't manage it unless I burned through it. What have we got left in the year? 36 hours or something? Maybe. Maybe I can use that to burn through some of the story in this game. I'm definitely going to beat this game next year. I have it scheduled. I'll have it done by May. That's how far ahead my scheduling is these days. I'm fairly certain the thing with Final Fantasy games is that they all take a completely different tone some ways through. I've never gotten far enough to see it, but I already liked what I was seeing in Final Fantasy, and the fact that it could get darker and weirder as it goes along. I'm really excited for that. But this ain't the year for it, Chief. And just thought I'd give a shout out to my boy Final Fantasy. Alright, we're actually getting into games that are good that I didn't give a chance to, really, in 2020. That's good. I don't like to be mean to games. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. I was going to say, I don't like to be mean to games. This game is probably really good if you get further into it. But from what I played, it was kind of like a beefed up Flash game. That sounds exceptionally mean because it's obviously a throwback to like an old style of arcade classic or Sega Master System and Sega Mega Drive classics. But the amount of my childhood I spent playing small Flash game experiences that kind of played not too dissimilar to this while I was in school. I now have this massive aversion to anything that kind of reminds me of those times. So as a sign of my newfound affluence, I have taken out my rage on Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. King of Fighters 13 is a game that makes me feel like a jaded incel. Like, why am I not entitled to your beauty? I'm good, am I not? I'm pure of heart, eager to love. I work hard. Why won't you let me touch you? See, jokes are good. I suck at King of Fighters. But you know what? I would love to play it again next year when I can play it with human beings. You know? Just saying. Even exceptionally difficult fighting games are fun with friends. That's why I keep buying them, but I haven't seen anybody all fucking year. And Maria doesn't play fighting games. 66 is Earth Knight. If you've ever wanted a game for so long that you forget why, I'll sum that experience up as the Earth Knight experience. I used to look at trailers of this game in the indie world and Nintendo Directs and think, fuck yeah, this game's going to be great. And only when I started playing it, I started realizing, is it though? Is it going to be great? Why am I here? Why am I playing this? What was it about you that called to me, Earth Knight? Why can't I find it when I play it? Still, it looks pretty pretty. Soundtrack is pretty good. Kind of cuts out at weird points, but I like the soundtrack of it. So it's you know, that'll get you far on my list apparently. And I said I'd take a break from it, so I'd say I'm not done playing it entirely, but I am done for the foreseeable future. Number 65 is Super Mario Bros. 35. Get it while it's hot. It's a game that's not going to exist if you've watched this any time and past. I think it's March 2021, which I can't imagine anything sucking more. Shout out to Tetris 99 for being better. This is number 64, Spellbreak. It's a game that I actually win in. But that doesn't equate a good game. But it will net you a fair spot on the list. Something got caught up there. Number 63, Soviet Jump Game. It's a game by Game Grumps as a company. I think it's by somebody else though. It's actually developed by, they're called like Fantastic Visions or something like that. That's not right, but something like that. That was a good game. Like, I enjoyed playing it. I think it would be a lot more fun locally, weirdly. But yeah, anyway, see Spellbreak for my thoughts on that. Number 62 is Mario Picross for the Super Famicom. This came out on the Nintendo Online. I love Picross. I'm a big Picross player myself. And even I thought this one was a bit crap. I stuck with it to beat it for the novelty. It didn't really pay off. And a lot of the things that they were like, the Picrossing were like Japanese kanji. And that's not fun to reveal as an image. At least early on. This is I have a Pearl Jam-ish joke written for this one. But throw cubes into block towers to collapse them, number 61. I've put on here, just as a reminder that everything below this point was not as fun as a game where you threw blocks at towers in like a Unity test engine. Like a tech demo. How disappointing is that? I had more fun with that. Literally throwing balls at a wall. Number 60 is Quackshot. That thing in my throat. Ow. I played this back in January, and it now feels like a fever dream. But I actually do want to finish it. It's kind of like a hybrid platformer meets a point and click. Somewhere on the internet, someone is very excited that their childhood game is getting mentioned in a list like this. You know, there's somebody scouring the internet right now for mentions of Quackshot, starring Donald Duck for the Sega Mega Drive. I've got good news to you, my friend. I've played it, and I didn't hate it. And obviously I'm not here to judge, because one of my favorite childhood games was a McDonald's tie-in game, so you can have your Donald Duck fantasy adventure. Sea of Thieves is number 59. That sounds desperately low for a game that is actually pretty good. I think you're very cool, Sea of Thieves. But if a 2-hour session with complete strangers trailing me by the nose the whole time won't help me make sense of you, then I have to cut my losses, unfortunately. I think my favorite part of the game, aside from playing instruments, which all games should let you do, was falling underwater. When you go underwater, the waves are beautiful above you. It's just gorgeous. It makes me want a game where you're like, it's not Sea of Thieves, but has that water engine in it, because it's just absolutely breathtaking when you fall into there. Warhammer Vermintide 2 is number 58, and if just randomly slashing away at rat people is sounds like a good time to you, then I recommend it. It is a very satisfying act. There's just nothing kind of deeper to it. Again, maybe if I had friends that would make the difference. I don't know, actually. I don't know with that one. Like, I think like the core idea of slashing the rats was fun in itself. I don't know if the pressure of having to organize your friends to enjoy it would make it any better. Thank you, Jeannie. It was exactly what I wanted, a lovingly crafted update to Theme Hospital. One of my favorite games as a preteen. But oh no, it's still Theme Hospital. I've played Theme Hospital. I don't need to play Theme Hospital again. Damn you, Genie, you've done it again. And scene. Acting. Comedy. It's got it all. We've got it all here. Oh, this is one. Give me 2 seconds. I had a prop for this one. I have to go very far. Harry as well says, I too liked 2 Point Hospital for a few hours. Yeah, no, I did. I really enjoyed it. I think it was perfect for anybody who hasn't played Theme Hospital already. I love Theme Hospital, but I'll never go back. I'm kidding. Maybe if there's a reason, you know, like it's a holiday and I don't have other stuff to do, but there's no reason for me to play more Theme Hospital. Because I've played that game to death. I love it. Anyway, Hotshot Racing. I got my prop. I had a wireframe magazine with this cover. It's back to front. You see, it's the exact same cover as they used for the game. Wireframe magazine, by the way, really good magazine. Really, really good articles. Some game designy stuff in here, and also like actual coding stuff in here. I'm hopefully going to get into game design a little better 2021, and I hope this becomes useful to me somewhere down the line. Anyway, Wireframe magazine. I've had this lying around in my house for months, and the whole time I read the preview of the game. I read the blurb. I looked at this image and I thought, that game looks great. That game looks exactly like something for me. And I believe that, therefore, has made me the last person in the world that has been sold something he doesn't actually need via the long-dead medium of magazine covers. I didn't really want Hotshot Racing. And it's not like it's a terrible game. In fact, I wanted it to be a good game. A really good game. I really like Sumo Digital's... I really like the Sonic Racing kart games that they have. And a lot of their games in general. And then also... I like the Sega Rally stuff in general. In general. And... just wish it had really scratched an itch that that sort of lay dormant there, but it didn't bring it to the surface. Doth mine Visage discuss thee too? It's a callback to my King of Fighters 13 entry. Another game that makes me feel like a red hot incel. A gentleman. Makes me feel like a white knight. It's so beautiful. And yet I suck at it so much it basically makes me look like a weird gropey person. Rad, number 54. This was doing pretty well very early, and this came out early in the podcast. I decided to play this. I didn't really even realize at the time that I owned it, but it came in a humble bundle. And it was doing very, very good until another far better top 10 grade roguelike hit the scene and forced me to never look back. I'm sorry, Rad. I did like what was going on, though. In another reality, you were the hot shit indie game beating out the contender for 2019 Action Game of the Year. So because that game in 2019 at the Game Awards was Devil May Cry 5. Just doesn't seem like it was ever going to be your year in any reality, I'll be honest. Roguelike away. Here's another one. It's Nuclear Throne. Basically take everything I said for the last game and replace the year 2019 with 2015, which I believe might have been before the Game Awards were the Game Awards. It definitely didn't have an action genre at the time. So we'll just transpose Nuclear Throne onto the action-adventure category, which was won in 2015 by Metal Gear Solid 5. So to be honest, just like in 2020, I would vote the 2D roguelike over the big action game that year. Because Metal Gear Solid 5 ain't good. It's not bad, but it ain't good. Disco Elysium. This is a game that I really wanted to like. And to be honest, to make sure that I do next year, I'm going to stop playing it and play it again when I get the final edition. When it comes out in March. So I'm gonna play it all from the start. And maybe play it a few times. Depending on how long it is. And really, really set aside time to like it, because I do generally like the idea that it's going for. I just didn't get into it this year, unfortunately, because I suck at reading. Number 51 is Overcooked 2. Is it wrong to hate a game because it's too good at what it does? This game legitimately gets me into fights with my family. I become an awful, bitter, sour monster playing it. Both overly defensive when criticized and overly critical when working my ass off. Maybe it just transplants me back to when I worked at Subway on my first day. A supervisor there, a Filipino man named Aileen. He bent over after me taking 2 hours to meticulously clean an oven and offered only, "You missed a spot," in a high-pitched voice as supervisorial critique. I kept with that job for 3 months. I worked my ass off. I took everything on board and made idle chit-chat, and I never got one smile from that guy. Playing Overcooked 2 reminded me of the days I would work with him, when no one else was around. The days that guy would get to make snippy comments and snide criticisms without our mutual boss intervening. The days when all I wanted was to make a guy content with my work, who made it his job to never be content with my work. I was just off the back of my English degree, being made redundant after 6 years working in retail administration. I was educated, qualified to work anywhere, basically. And I was working at Subway for a guy who hated me on instinct. And now all I can hear from that year in 2014 is Maps by Maroon 5 playing over the radio. Every night in my sleep, every time I hear that song, I'm right there at Subway. And Overcooked 2 brings me back there. And if New Year's wasn't on lockdown again, I'd be playing Overcooked 2 with my family again and reliving the horror at the start of every year, being thankful for the next one. Dear Esther killed an R one morning. Ah, my voice. Just getting clogged up. Ganked up with the memories of, oh no, I've hit a bassier subtone. Am I going to lose my voice doing this? That's incredible. Wow, it really has just hit this all new bassy tone. It's like I had puberty mid sentence. That's got to be pleasant listening. Please, I demand I have my normal voice slightly too high. Sounds like I'm sped up. Coming of age stream, yeah. Maybe it's all the getting choked up on the memories of working at Subway. That's what's up. Dear Esther, I killed an R with it one morning. I think this one suffers from there having been superior titles with more impactful narratives that pull all the same tricks. You know, I recommend if you've been avoiding walking simulators to try something else. You know, go try Stanley Parable. Do what I did. Do Stanley Parable first, and then Beginner's Guide, which is the best one, and then you can dabble in all the sort of looser ones. Gone Home. I was thinking about Gone Home the other day, actually. There was a character in it. I think it's the father in it. Just something I had imagined something in real life, or I imagined something in that game being from real life that I remembered was actually from that game. It was the father's occupation as he was a critic for typing machines, if I remember right. And I really, really liked that sub-story. The little narrative you can pick up while reading all the information in the scenery. And it was such a clearly memorable thing that I assumed I knew somebody who had that occupation in real life when the thought hit me the other day. And then it took me about 5 minutes to realize, wait a minute, that was actually just the in-game storytelling of Gone Home. Gone Home's a good game. 4 moments like that. It's not as good. It's not as good as the Beginner's Guide, which I think actually tells something quite profound. But Gone Home is a good, like a little emotional experience in a kind of unsettling kind of scenario. Anyway. Gone Home is not on this list because I played it like the other year. Assassin's Creed 1. It's ongoing. Is this the first ongoing? I think so. Honestly, I haven't gotten very far into this to really appraise it. But I'm going to give a big shout out to the noodle hands button once again. Hold down the square button to use your noodle arms. You hold all the pots. Stop all the pots from smashing as you walk through crowds. That's game design. Love it. Absolutely love it. 2021, baby. I'm feeling it. It's the year of the JRPG. And I think I know exactly how I'm going to make this one work. I got this. I did a long bit on this in the podcast about missing the vibe. I missed the vibe for Dragon Quest 11, a game that I was really looking forward to. But I absolutely want to play it. I'm almost certain it's going to be great. I think one of the biggest problems that hit me right away was I didn't like any of the voice acting, either in English or Japanese. That has never happened. It's never happened for me where I've just not liked any voice acting. But it turns out this game released without voice acting at all initially. And I'm thinking that's how it should have stayed. So I'm going to turn off voice acting next time I play it. I'm just going to... I know it's got like really big cutscenes and all, but I don't think it needs it. It's not that kind of game. It's kind of rubbery cartoon world. It doesn't need real people voices. So yeah, I've got subtitles my whole way through it. Very excited about that. And I'll endear myself by their design rather than their weird mismatched voices, in my opinion. But it's character Eric. I just cannot get a beat on that guy's voice in English or in Japanese. I think neither of them match how he looks. Anyway, number 47 is a game called Stellaris. It's a Paradox game. Paradox known for their board game-esque games that are frighteningly difficult. And if you've ever played a board game that a friend owns and they only half explain the rules to you, but you sit down to play anyway, and the whole time you're completely unsure if you're doing everything right or not, and meanwhile your friend is steadily plying you with more rules while making small pivotal movements every second, adhering to some invisible script that you are quite noticeably not privy to. That's what it's like to play Stellaris. It's a game that was really pretty. In fact, it's a game that I liked the races from, the alien races, and I really liked the concept art in it. I had the concept art of it as my computer wallpaper for a while. I played it for as long as I could stomach, which was about 5 or 6 hours, and I never felt like I got a grasp of what the hell I was doing. I could spend more time, and I could sink more time into it and get really good at it. But what's the fun in that when I can just complain about it on the internet? Witcher 2, I'm currently playing. I'm only about 5 hours in. So far, the overriding sensation is resentment for having to unlearn everything I learned to love about the original Witcher game. But that's really just... It's not its fault, is it? Next year, after a little break, I'm going to play the entirety of Witcher 2, and I'm going to love it. I love the worlds of The Witcher. I already know I like the gameplay of The Witcher 2 as well, I just haven't gotten good at it. So I gotta let myself stop remembering how The Witcher 1 plays, then play Witcher 2. Number 45 is Turok Evolution. Yes, this was the best PS2 image I could find of it. Turok Evolution has been my white whale for 2020. And he never actually kills the white whale, does he? I don't know. I haven't read that book. I don't know what that means. The only thing I know about a white whale is that it falls from the sky in a fiery ball of death. If Metal Gear Solid 5 has taught me anything about classic literature. This one's kind of a fringe case because I've definitely played a lot of it as a kid. I just decided to play it as an adult, which in that perspective makes for an entirely different experience because you realize how fucking terrible it is as an adult. Turok Evolution is a terrible game, but I'm still going to beat it. I'm going to beat it next year. Should have wrote down in my schedule for games I'm going to play next year. Turok Evolution. I'm going to do a bit on the podcast about it. It's going to be an insightful piece of commentary, that's for sure. Inside an agony. Thumbs up to the music of Persona for the PSP. That's really all it's here for. An excellent, a wonderful exercise in video game genealogy, as Lawrence would say. I'm really glad to have played it, or as much of it as I did. I got out while the going was okay, and therefore have fond memories of it. I didn't let it wear out its welcome by continuing to play it. Fall Guys. It's number 43. I keep saying I'll play this game again at some point, but it's been months and I've had it uninstalled since the first week it came out, so I don't know what to believe. But I really like Fall Guys. I do really like it. Maybe I like the idea of it more than I like playing it anymore. But you know, I have positive memories of having played it. Would recommend it to people to play. that counts for anything. Up next we got Short Hike. This is a humble bundle published game. If Celeste asked nothing of you, it'd be a short hike. And that's not really a dig. I really like that game. I recommend it for anybody who's looking at chill time. You know what's not a chill time? Fucking Super Mario Party. I had friends over on one of those weeks where we were permitted to see friends in the year when the lockdown pandemic rules loosened. In the year of the great gamer girl bathwater factory spill. We drunkenly attempted to get a game of this going. It was an absolute mess. And it went on too long, and I think we gave up. But you can't be mad, because you knew what you were in for. That's criticism. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time. I played 2 games of Super Mario Party, and I really enjoyed them each time. But it's not actually a good party game. It's like a good small meeting game. Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. It's a game I played for years and years and years, but it's a game this year I played as an adult in the way that for some reason it all just clicked, and I actually was able to see the adult level of game design behind it, and therefore was able to make sense of how to actually win some of the more difficult scenarios in it. So I'm giving it a thumbs up for being a totally different experience. Number 39 is Yoku's Island Express. On the one hand, I absolutely love pinball. Pinball, I play pinball anytime I get a chance. Every time I go out to an arcade or anything, I hunt down the pinball machine in there. And I have had more sand pinball tables than is healthy to own on digitally. On the other hand, I started this after a year of being just so exhaustively burned out on Metroidvanias I could not possibly make room. And this game is a pinball game that is also a Metroidvania game. I believe that if I do finish it, it'll be on an airplane going somewhere warm. It'll be something to have killed a few hours with without really thinking about it. Otherwise, I think I won't be touching this directly for some time. It's not that it's a bad game, it's just that I think it's one of those games that you just play passively, I think. I think that's the right way to play it. Play it when you're stuck somewhere. Did I put the wrong... Oh, I've teed up the wrong image. Excuse me. Let's go... There we go. Apologies for the delay on number 38. Warlock of Firetop Mountain. The only picture I could find of this was the Goblin Scourge DLC pack one. Like, what? I still have this installed. So it's practically a promise I'm going to play it again. I just have yet to do it. And now that I'm playing Fire Emblem, you know, like I can see how the combat system isn't actually all that good. But I don't know, there's still something very charming about it to me, so I'll definitely get back to playing it somewhere later next year probably. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is number 37. Despite having wall-to-wall assholes for characters, I have to admit, your game is doing something right if I'm sitting here tearing up over the lonely end of a bitter, racist old granny. You know, so... Thumbs up. Thumbs up, Chinese Room. This year was my year for the Chinese Room. Got into them. I have their next game. They have a little game called Little Orpheus that came out on iOS. I have that downloaded on my laptop, and I've got it downloaded on my phone. And I just, like, haven't set any time aside to think about playing it. Apparently it's their attempt to do, like, actual platforming gameplay. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about any of that information. Aha! Your bitter tears mean nothing to me, Lawrence. Slash Fuhrer. This used to be the big one in the abandoned category on the content tracker for a while, as a cruel joke. But the Monster Reborn card came in the form of Dark Souls. How did I know? How did I know you were lurking there, Lawrence? After Dark Souls, it made me realize that these exhausting narrative-free games can actually end with, after a considerable... I messed up what I'm trying to say there. What I mean to say is that these exhausting narrative-free games actually have ends to them. And that if you put a considerable amount of time in, you'll reach an end and feel catharsis from having completed something. And that's kind of why you have to stick with them. And ultimately, me not sticking with Hollow Knight helped serve to just fester bitterness towards it. That said, the combat in Hollow Knight was never as satisfying to pull off as Dark Souls. So, you know, maybe it will never mean as much in general anyway. Maybe it will never keep me as hooked. But I'm excited to get back to Hollow Knight. I should, holy to God, get it back to it next year. And other games that have long been gesticulating on sort of the background of the podcast and in the background of my mind is Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations, the third one. This is clearly the section of the lists where I just list the anchor's worth of weight around my neck. Maybe when I beat this, I'll go nuts and dive right into the fourth game without a second's hesitation for the absolute slog that were the first two trials in this one. Who knows? Yeah, you know, it might just all click very soon. I do like it though. Excited. I need to know the mystery. Plus, there's something in the back of my mind. It's been festering this entire time. Where Lawrence said, "Let me know when you beat this. I've got homework for you," or something like that. And it's been clinging to the back of my mind ever since. Like, oh man, I gotta beat it at some point. Then it's 2021. I've already started scheduling stuff for 2021, but I need to. That's actually a good one to bump up the list a bit. Armello is number 34. Aha! Surprise! I guess I can now finally admit it. I have played Armello. I've been playing Armello. I've played it. I played a game of it. I've played all the tutorials of it. And I need to play a few more games of it to know where I really stand with it. I haven't made anything with the podcast out of it because I wanted to play it a few more times, just to sort of learn the rules more thoroughly. Because there's so many ways you can play out depending on your character and your little quest. And I want to make sure I find something that kind of works for me and is fun for me to play. It's kind of like Magic the Gathering, you know, like where you get the colored decks in Magic the Gathering and they slightly change how the game plays. But once you find the flavor that suits you, suddenly it just kind of clicks, and that's the one you want to stick with. This is the scrub level thinking of of Magic the Gathering. By the way, I'm sure everybody at the top levels is like, I'll play whatever's popular, and I don't give a shit. Anyway, you know, ultimately what I realized is I'm glad we got Grow Home instead of this in that stupid, insipid PlayStation Plus voting thing all those years ago. Because I think that game was more impactful to me personally. But I think Armello is a better long-term game to keep, and I'm glad that I've played it now and will continue to play it into 2021. It's a pretty good game, and I will have to follow up on that one. All right, here we go. Number 33. It's Devil May Cry 4. This is like, I know there's been a lot of completed ones on the list, but this is the one. This is I think the longest completed. That is the lowest down the list. I actually beat Devil May Cry 1 and 2 in 2019. So they're not on this list. But I finished my journey to beat all the Devil May Cry games, aside from DMC, Don't They Must Die, in this year. Honestly, I'd bump this one up about 10 places if it weren't for the 1-2 sucker punch boss rush and awful statue boss fight at the end of this game. Because other than, like, I genuinely, if that hadn't happened, I do feel it would have been maybe my second favorite DMC game. Well, third favorite. Yeah, third favorite. But now it's kind of ranked beneath DMC 3, which is a shame because I had more fun generally playing DMC 4, and then I just had an awful bad time finishing it. Whereas I never had a really bad time finishing DMC 3. I just had a generally less fun time playing it. So anyway, I don't like, yeah, there was people, even though it was obviously budget cut the fuck, I had no problem backtracking or repeating fights for like 18 missions in DMC 4. It's just the very end of it completely nakedly ruined it for me. So that's what you get. You get 10 places knocked off my fun radar. Oh, they're shaking in their boots now, old Capcom. DMC, run DMC. Yeah, that's the one I should have went for. God damn it. Yakuza Kiwami. Hopefully that didn't sound racist. Just because you say it in a gruff Yakuza-esque voice. Kiwami. It's fun to say. I love Japanese syllables. I haven't touched on this in the podcast, but I've been learning Japanese since September. I've been in college learning Japanese since September. Hopefully we'll get good at it next year. I've yet to finish this because I'm still so disillusioned. I think I genuinely love the problem comes from I genuinely love the first Yakuza on PS2. Lawrence says racist Japanese accents are actually effective communication. I think that is genuinely the case. Like the over enunciation of the syllables makes for a clearer understanding of the language you're using. They don't understand English accents. I know. My teacher, Yakuza senpai, she struggles with my accent, that's for fucking sure. And Shane's name, my brother Shane's name, keeps calling him Sean. It's just easier for her. Anyway, Kiwami just adds so much faff, which I would probably appreciate if I had done the more genealogical path of like watching the faff get slowly added into the game. Like this game comes between number 5 and 6 in terms of development, right? Somewhere in that ballpark. So if I had played 1 through 5 traditionally, then did Kiwami, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love all this absolute mess of crap on top of the original game, making it a far weaker but weirder experience that's entertaining for old fans and new fans alike. But instead, it feels like I've jumped a pile of gameplay decisions into a series I no longer recognize, and I think what I need to do is go back and play more traditionally. I'm going to ignore the Kiwami games I'm gonna. Yeah, the FAF factor. I think that's important to Yakuza. It's something I actually really love about the Yakuza games. But I think you have to learn to adapt to how much FAF they put into it over time. I think there's a gradient for the FAF, a FAF gradient, that fits the development of each game over time. So I'm gonna go back to. I don't know if I can play the whole thing again. I might finish Kiwami for 1 and then go back to number 2 in its original release and play them straight from there. I don't think that, and then play 0 after 5, and then 6, then Like a Dragon. It sounds good, right? Sounds like completely reasonable thinking. I also think one of the things I genuinely miss. It's like, maybe nobody's opinion is this, but I actually really liked the American dub for the original Yakuza. You didn't have an option to turn it off, and I'm kind of glad for that, because I wouldn't have stuck with it if I hadn't. And that's not a knock on whoever voices Kazuma in Japanese. I love that guy. Like, all the voices are great in general, but I really liked their American dub in the original release. I thought the voice acting was so fun. And then they've never had them again. Apparently the latest dub is excellent. I wasn't even aware that they haven't been doing them lately. So, but maybe they've done it for Like a Dragon, because that's like their big release. The first time they're doing a big release in a long time. Because even 6, the Song of Life, was really like downplayed in terms of release over in the West. Maybe Like a Dragon has a dub. Anyway, if it does, I will definitely do the dub, because I think I just had such a fun time with the American voice acting in the first game in the PS2. Anyway, number 31 is Jackbox Party Pack 7, the game that I will be probably playing for New Year's, now that I know that I can't go out at night. It's a game that it makes me want to make new friends, ones that aren't sick to death of playing Jackbox with me. I love Jackbox. I'm a simple man. Variations on the same social game 100 times. That's what I'm here for. And we're going to do number 30. I'm going to take a break to get some water, which will be about two minutes long. So don't panic. Stay put. Number 30 is Outlast. Suitably green. Lee looks to chat for reassurance about the jackpot thing. Yeah. No. Outlast, number 30. I'm still thinking about Miles Outlast Prower. I'm thinking, thanks again to Harry for the name. It's excellent work on your part, man. I think about the character. I think he reminds me of me when I occasionally reach for loftier language, yet have never made a single simile that didn't seem awfully contrived to read. Like I see, I'm setting myself up for a joke in my writing. Good job, Lee. Like a blurry sign being read by a child who's already stowed away his nearsighted alleviating reading classes in the luggage compartment of the train that he's on, so he's just stabbing at the words in vain hope that the shapes he sees are good enough for whoever's willing to hear. Why would I write this? I truly am the Miles Outlast Prower. I clearly had, like... Is this a Tim Rogers bit? If only. Oh my god. Why am I so fucking stupid? Alright. I'm going to take a quick break. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna write some text here. Like, BRB, babe. Yeah. I'm gonna have that there. I'm gonna select the font. Where is it? Why is it not showing up? The font is all fucked up. Alright, never mind. You're just going to have to imagine I'm coming back. And that was the review for Outlast. I agreed with every word. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We had a good time. Alright, I'm going to boost up the music and turn down the mic, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Anybody guess the what soundtrack we're using for the background there? I'll give you a hint. We could be DMCA'd for it because it's not copyright free. It's an actual game. But they never come knocking. Made the mistake of attracting the attention of one of my cats as I walked around. So now, I mean, you could see for almost the entire video, there's one been lying there. It's catchy. But now Drogo is among us. He's looking attention, which is a much more dangerous game. Excuse me. Let us get back to it. You'd get DMCA'd anyways, so no worries. Yeah. Not taking that risk. Hey, handsome. I know, because I played Cyberpunk the other night, so I mean, it's all over. Alright, here we go. Number 29. That's right, a testament to... Good job, Drogo. The entire mic with his tail. There you are. A testament, a PSA to all the kids. It's okay to quit a game while you're ahead. A testament to the bar of disillusionment. By the halfway point of Digimon World Next Order, it seemed clear to me that it was only going to get worse. The non-fun part of the systems were taking over and the story was nothing to hold on to. So it was time to pack it in. And now I look back fondly at that, so fondly that it's beaten out a bunch of games in my estimates that were actually very good. And I completed. And watched get sour. Yeah, but I mean it was a perfect rekindling of the stuff I liked from the original game. So much so that it looks like it would be impossible for an adult to enjoy it and still have a time limit on their life. Number 28 is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Credit to Nico Sauce on Reddit for the amazing cover with the EU bar and everything. That's, I mean, the PlayStation font is clearly off center there now that I'm looking at it. I saw this on Google Images and I thought, fuck, that looks actually spectacular. I know, yeah. I also enjoyed Porto Public. That's pretty great. That's the kind of attention to detail that you want from your fan edits on Reddit. Hey, Crash Bandicoot 4 was maybe the only game this year that I was in any way kind of hyped for in 2020. Oh, I've written myself another comedic bit. Let me see. Thank you, Genie. It was exactly what I wanted. A lovingly crafted update to Crash Bandicoot's original formula. Oh, but I mean, like, the formula where it left off of Crash 3, not the OG formula. Not Crash 1's brutal as hell. Even today formula. I mean, okay, fine, I like it. It's good anywhere. I'll just have to let the child in me who actually wanted to collect all the things die a thousand fiery deaths. And scene. There we go, that was acting. I had to do it all off camera because it's too embarrassing. Why did I write this? Why did I write these things? I clearly had somebody in mind to do this on my behalf. You know? I could pay Tim Rogers to read my crap. For me. I'd say it's his 102 games of the year. Number 26 is not up. It's number 27. It's Sonic the Hedgehog for the Game Gear. This is definitely a game I played before, but I had a significantly different experience this year. So that's why it counts against the rules that we introduced at the very start. Did you know... well, this year I got much further in this game than I ever did previously in my life. Did you know this game has a stage after Scrap Brain? It has like a whole level unique to it. That's not in the original Sonic on Mega Drive. That fucking blew my mind. I was on stream at the time too, so like a select few got to catch it as my mind was blown. That was at the start of the year. It was pre Vectormen. I was amazed. I'm definitely that's a coming back to game because I'm going to complete it. Scrap Brain Zone theme is inspired by the Blade Runner theme. Fun fact, look it up. That makes a lot of sense. I'll have to find the comparison video. But yeah, I can already kind of hear it. We're running amok with animals. just wants attention. You wanna lie down? Number 26 is Blade Runner. Yeah. I guess he does run some blades. Runs with some blades. Dangerous man, this Dante. Keep an eye out on this Dante fellow. I think he's around for good. Devil May Cry 3 I can appreciate for laying the foundation for what would later be my favorite game in the series. I couldn't help feel I had a better time with the slightly jank systems of DMC1. But I mean, like, I'm not a fighting game connoisseur, so I'm sure like anybody, whatever you can get out of the systems in DMC3 has definitely felt better. Yeah, you know, so that's why I like the simplicity of the first one. This did bring us the Dante and Virgil sibling rivalry that we liked, and that to me kind of became, for all of us, became what we really loved about the series. Also, the bosses were really good. This is me. This is my actual criticism of DMC3. I enjoy it. All right, here's another surprise one. Number 25, Bayonetta. I've played about 2-3 hours of Bayonetta. I can already tell I'm enjoying it more than DMC 3 and 4. It's ongoing. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna beat it next year. So yeah, so I've just put it on here as a shocking statistic to scare people that a game that I can play for just 2 hours is beats out 3/4 of the competition. I fucking love it. I think it's already so much fun, and I really like the witch time mechanic or whatever it's called. It's a really good game, and I'm going to tell that, you know, I actually played it for 2 hours about 2 months ago, and then I booted it up at just before Christmas to play it again. Once I've changed the entire room around, and I can't actually remember how to play it properly, so I have to start it all again from the start. So those 2 hours were nothing, but I'm gonna have a really good time of it next year. Number 24 is Super Mario 64. That's right, Mario fans. You don't have to panic. I've got your back in some regard. I know I've been beating on you with the low rankings of Sunshine and Galaxy for the Switch, but the Switch port of Super Mario 64 is damn fine. And after years and years, and this isn't the first time I've played this, obviously, but after years and years of trying and giving up because wrestling with the camera is such a chore of Sisyphusian laboriousness, I have at last completed this fucking game. Paying £50 for the privilege was probably a bad move, since I definitely own this. Definitely own this on other consoles, but it doesn't matter. Give me the incentive I needed to get my money's worth and actually finish it and get all 120 stars. So that makes a different experience for me for 2020, the year I beat Super Mario 64. Almost certainly for the first and only time. I couldn't possibly imagine doing it again for any reason. You asked us all to leave the room. I only asked the ones, any of you damn Super Mario fans who were either here to secretly tell me that you hate Mario Galaxy and you wanted to use me as an accessory to get that out there. I wanted them to leave. And any of you who were here to tell me Mario Galaxy 2 was better than Mario Galaxy 1 and were looking for me to take your back on that side, I want you also to leave, but slower. Everybody else can stay. I just didn't queue up the next picture. Like an idiot. Here we go. Here we are. Number 23. Sonic Labyrinth. This is as high as it goes. High as it goes, Sonic. As high as he gets. And it's just infamously one of his worst games. And to the Sonic community, I say, yes, good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you. And scene. For the longest time, Sonic Labyrinth has endured a smear campaign comparable to Pizzagate in both ludicrosity and virality. You know what I mean. Viralness. In the year 2020, however, I peered beyond the scandal and saw that Sonic Labyrinth is a perfectly good game that the lamers don't want you to enjoy. The thing is, you just got to get good at it, you know. Now we can use. Now I've played Dark Souls, I can use the memes. I've heard the meme. Your spin dash makes you move around like a pinball, you know, basically uncontrollable. But in theory, but you actually can. Once you get used to its range and how to stop yourself dead, you're more or less perfectly safe bouncing around in that mode. And you use it to get around quickly, beating enemies, solving the puzzles, collecting the items as fast as possible. And the game kind of tells you have to learn to do it that way because there's a time limit. And your walking speed is dreadfully, dreadfully slow on purpose. So the only way to get around the levels at any pace, any click at all, is to bound like a madman from wall to wall. Or that's how you do it when you don't learn how to stop, but there's a button to stop dead in your tracks and change direction. So it's just a matter of working with the game, getting on board with its design, and then what you're left with is it's not really like antithetical to Sonic, just because it's like a puzzle game. I understand. Definitely in the day, this would have been a weird one. Today, though, we should just like look at brands and see that you can do more with them and make interesting games out of them. Mario does it all the time. Does weird puzzle games and shit like that all the time, and I like those games. I wouldn't tell them to stop. I don't really care if they don't. They just whack him out as a mascot. I think Sonic Labyrinth was a good game. I think the worst part of it, though, is that the hardest boss in it is the first boss in it. And they give you a bonus life every time you fight him, so you never actually lose the game. But, you're just trying to power through him. Once you get a handle on how to beat him, you'll have a good time. So I'm recommending 2020 recommendation of the year: Sonic Labyrinth, best Sonic game I played this year. Scathing. Number 22 is The Outer Worlds, which, if there was a separate list for time sank in compared to rating, this would probably be much lower on the list. Because, in terms of how I liked it versus how much time it took me to get to that opinion, the balance would be a lot more middling for The Outer Worlds. This game sits with me worse the longer it stews. Once you're in it, and all its decisions and adventures and fun side characters and spacefaring and all seem fun and exciting, but the moment you're out of it, it's all like, why the hell was I forced into that stupid dilemma? And did they really expect me to get hard invested in a world that reads like satire and yet tells a semi-serious story for its characters? It's just misplaced intentions, I find. Are these loosely in order of preference? They are. They're ranked solely on my subjective experience. It's not like the game design. I'm not factoring in if they're good games. It's whether I had a good experience with them. Number one is the best experience with a game I had all year. So that's how the ranking works. It's good that asking that at the 2-hour mark, that somebody skipped ahead to the good parts. Number 21 is Civilization 6 DLC. Gathering Storm. This is the environmental one. In Gathering Storm on King difficulty, which is the highest I've yet gone, I got every single civilization in the game to be my friend and make alliances with me at the same time. Not just one at a time, all together. Because I had a ridiculous amount of money in their pockets, and to jeopardize our friendship would mean catastrophic news from their projects. Also, my neighbor said he just decided it liked the look of my country or my empire more and defected and allowed it. Like, what a cool mechanic that cities can decide individually to break off from their own empire and join another. And I thought that was very funny. Still the perfect game to play while listening to the audiobooks, but a great game. A really good game. The expansion really it started. Civilization 6 for me has never really clicked, but with the environmental stuff, it's become a game that has a lot more shit going on at all times. Lord says, "What could number 1 be? I wonder." Yes, it's going to be a letdown. It's not even a joke, but it's going to be a letdown. Number 20 is Amnesia, a machine for pigs. Such a weird sensation this game gives you. Because I don't think it's an astounding game or anything. I just love weird, twistier, heftier, overwrought concepts being brought to life. I don't even care if it makes sense. I just love to see it. You got a free pass in my book for daring to be pretentious, to be honest. I've dropped my wedding ring. What an omen. My zombie ghost children are coming to get me. That's why every Chinese room game is past the halfway mark on this list, by the way. It's because pretentiousness, for me, that would carry you quite a way. You don't have to be particularly great in execution. Just gotta be just pretentious enough to have fun with it. This game carries the air of self-importance and grandeur, and people will use that against them and look at it as a negative, but honestly, I'm just so happy that games have rooms for ridiculous, highfalutin concepts like this, and stories like this, that unless it's actively trying to preach to me, which I didn't think this one was, it was just kind of running with a metaphor and seeing what would happen, I'll be there for it. So, as the Friends song goes, just to bring down the classiness of the sentiments that I was just saying. Yeah, but Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, I really enjoyed. Number 19 is Persona 5 Royal. You may not be aware, but the idea that Persona 5 Royal only made it to number 19 in the best gaming experiences I had in 2020 marks a genuine blow to how I rate the year as a whole. I love Persona. I'm pretty sure I've made no bones about this on the show. And this probably becomes born out of it ticking a lot of boxes for me personally in terms of how I like to play games and how I like characters to be written. And also because I am not nearly versed enough in Japanese RPGs to have a good opinion. So Persona gets free pass for being my entry point to an entire world of games that I am yet to carry on with. I love Persona 5 as well. I've already sank 100 plus hours into the original game. So this is not my first go around with the game, but it is my second go around with a game that is Persona 5 with a massive 30-hour DLC added onto it. And it was another opportunity to see the characters and listen to the music again. Oh man. Persona 5's original release in 2017 would have been the number 1 spot of the year for me. And that year became the Persona 5 year for me. And that was the year with Breath of the Wild, Sonic Mania, and Crash Bandicoot Insanity Collection? Why can't I just try to roll that into one word? Each of which I would gladly fight for and probably lose that fight in their honor. I don't even think Persona 5 is a perfect game. I don't even think it's the best Persona game. It's just more than perfect enough for me. Persona 5 Royal... I keep saying that. I've always thought it was Persona 5 Royale. It's Persona 5 Royal. Full stop. You can see the sun is now, as predicted at the start of the stream, lowering. Persona 5 Royal threatened me with a chance of a do-over. let me think that the toughest nails trophies in that game I would have a second chance to get in one run, and I did have that do-over, and I did get the trophies, and I did get a chance to go back to that world, and honestly, it wasn't worth it. I mean, there's the Crystal Lizard side of it. I was disappointed in the trophies. I got over that. That's fine. It was an early blow to the game. Secondly, though, that the ending to Persona 5 Royal is legitimately worse than the original ending. It's like, what if Persona 5 had added a half-an-hour filler episode right between the last two episodes of the series, and it feels like filler, like the worst kind of filler. At first, it seems like it's actually going to change stuff, and then it turns out to just be filler, like an overblown filler episode that you can ignore, but you would basically be like, the game would be knocking you in the head saying you're about to miss entire story portions to get this ending. Lauren says that's because we all decided Royale was better in our heads and pretended that was it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyway, if you're gonna play Persona 5, play the original, like the bells and whistles of the new one are just not nearly good enough to keep you in. And my last big criticism of Persona 5 Royale was that they changed the battle music. There's something much, much worse, which I can't play. I would play it for you if we weren't going to get DMCA'd. I would do a comparison stream, music comparison stream. Be taught in the shadows for game music. Lee in the desk lamp. Repetitive as Last Surprise is once you play the game, because there's only one real song for every fight. At least it's a genuinely great song, you know, and that only occasionally outstays its welcome. The opening guitar lick of the Takeover, which is the song they've replaced it with in this, it's like a cat. It's like, man, which come on, Lee, pick a simile. It's like chalk and cat snails on a blackboard at the same time. Like it's wailing with distortion, and it's too lively every time. So even though you're having like a chill Persona 5 time, it's like you're playing Persona every second. And as somebody who has got the platinums of both Persona 4 and Persona 5 dancing games, I can tell you, I'm not remotely allowed to let it fly. Anyway, let's take this opportunity to once more beg for Persona 3. I haven't changed the image yet. But there it was. There's the game you last looked at. That's not the right one. Sorry, 2 seconds. That's not even kind of the right image. What the fuck? Yeah, that's right there. That's right there. Excuse me, technical difficulties. These all look kind of right. Just wondering if I got the numbers wrong or if I just used the wrong image twice. Number 19, number 18. Oh no, it's fine. I didn't fuck up. Well, I fucked up on air. It's like the simile. That's far smarter. Thank you, Lawrence. I should have had you proofread this shit. But then why would I do that to you? Nobody deserves that. Number 18 is Magic the Gathering Arena. Take Sculpt. Colon's just out of control in this fucking game. I've only just gotten into this, but I'm completely in love. And, you know, I know it's a mess, and I know it's based on a pay-to-win system, and I don't really care. Just really like that game. Play it constantly. Don't really have to defend it. In fact, I'm not here to defend any of these choices. These are all bad choices. We all know it. If I was going to defend that, then I would have to somehow explain how I'm going to defend 51 worldwide games. That's the number 17 spot. Look, I'm sorry. If you think your year is too important for a bunch of old-timey board games, you can leave with the Mario guys. This is the only top games of 2020 bold enough to put on 51 worldwide games / clubhouse games in America. This collection of games was my summer. I played it to the death. I played it with my wife. I bored my friends with it. I just played it. I'm still playing it. Why buy one of those eShop Spider Solitaire or Mahjong games when you can have both of them all in one place, looking damn fine? A game's so influential, it made me get a real Mancala board. Man, I have to show the Mancala board, don't I? Give me a second. I always keep it at hand in case I need to beat somebody over the head with it. That's a Mancala board. Folds away. I mean, they're not supposed to fold away. It's just a very nice one. That's what Mancala boards look like. And you play it with gems, which are there somewhere. I only switched camera because I thought I was going to have to get up and walk over there to the other board games because I thought I'd put it there. We're losing so many people. Yeah. Oh yeah, we had people. Oh, Lawrence. Your naivete. Anyway, nothing positive, but memories. Beautiful. Summertime memories. Spent playing traditional board games alone in the year of the great, what did I call it earlier? The great gamer girl bathwater spillage. Yeah, that's about right. Number 16 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Because trends are cool. I played this for 2 weeks and it changed my life. Then I never played it again. In a crazy intense blur back in March, in the wake of the great pachinko parlor recession of 2020, because we can see how granular we can get these jokes to go. I FOMO'd my way into this because I was expecting to play something, anything to get over the mind-numbing amount of time we had to do nothing with. So I decided I would buy a new game, my first new game of the year, and that game that would have filled that time perfectly was Doom Eternal, but I didn't buy it. So I then bought Persona 5 Royale, but that was a week later. So I bought Animal Crossing because 2 of my friends on the Switch already had it that day, and I felt the intense FOMO and jumped on, and I really liked it. And I changed my morning routine to fit it for 2 weeks, and I appreciated that because it helped me make sense of the quarantine a little bit. So I have positive memories of the game that I ultimately stopped playing because I was bored. And it helped me I used it, propped my life up with it for long enough to move on from it, grow stronger from it, and get on for something. So about 40 hours of my playtime in it, and I hit the credits and I stopped playing, and that's probably the first and last time I'll ever play an Animal Crossing game. But I mean, it was a good experience. I will absolutely defend people who love it to death. And I will not argue with people who hate it to death. Maybe I actually will. No, I do understand the design philosophy of it. So I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like it's actually a bad thing. It's actually genuinely a good thing. Just not, served its purpose for me. I moved on to games like Shadow of the Colossus. First game I talked with on the podcast with Lawrence, but nobody will know that because it's in episode 0, the lost episode. All the Vector heads. Gonna give them a fan nickname. We'll never be able to hear that one. Oh, we're not allowed to make a cult. Okay, yeah. We're gonna have the great Crystal Lizard versus Brainworm street fight of 2024. So I guess, was there any significance in me picking Shadow of the Colossus as the first game to talk about after the fact I had played other games that year and already had written them up? Yeah, it kind of had the pretentiousness of a game that I wanted the stuff I talked about on Vectormen to hold by on. But mainly now I just remember it fondly as the game that was a good game, and it helped make a silly conversation about grabbing onto things, which carried on to our first episodes very slightly in a horse VR game that we talked about, and that's pretty good. And I still think my idea for a Superman VR game was pretty good. I can't remember all the design ideas I had for it, but I think Superman in VR, and or just not in VR, but with grabbing mechanics would be a great game. And I'm not just saying that because I feel kind of jaded about Superman games, because I've never really played any of them. And the one day I was in game and saw Superman Shadow of Apocalypse on the PS2 playing on the TV, my parents wouldn't buy it for me. So anyway, I want to design a Superman game that plays as good as the one in my head. Anyway, was it the origin? Oh yes, and it's the origin of the Crystal Lizards. That's right. Shadow of the Colossus is one of the greats, kind of an undisputed classic. That the kind of game you'll be throwing in my face when I admit some of the games above it are just so much not as good. It's just so not nearly as good. Number 14. It's a game I haven't yet talked about on the podcast. I'll be talking about it very soon. I mean, we're not back the week of recording, but whenever we're back, I'll probably talk about this. I'm not gonna talk about what I'm going to talk about in the podcast here. So, sweet, storing away of the content. Gotta hold on to that content. Can't just give it away. This game was actually on when I was writing the list. Was the last game I beat before finishing the list, and it was at number 28. It was at number 28 and in the ongoing category, and then I beat it. And it's the thumbs up to the concept of finishing games, changing your opinion on them, because for a good while, having played this as a kid, nearly 15 years ago or so, not beating it then, I just assumed that I had seen all I had to see of this game. And then beating it changed my opinion completely. Like, the entire playing experience to the latter end of the game is so thought-provoking and fun that I genuinely changed my mind and at least doubled its score mentally in the mental score I was keeping. Man, I'm looking at my notes here, and I spent 2 pages writing about Link's Awakening. Just here. I don't know what I had in mind for this list, but the moment I started actually saying things out loud, I realized that that's not exactly the direction I wanted to go. That's why you should have trial runs, I guess. Yes, a lot of this I think I ended up distilling into thoughts that I'll bring up on the podcast. So I'm not gonna. That's where Link's Awakening's experience ends. But Maria pointed out something very clever to me. She just finished it yesterday, and she pointed out it's a shame about the whole dream aspect of the game being spoiled in the game's title. Kind of robs everyone of an opportunity to have that even remotely be a twist. And I wrote a lot about the dream stuff that I really like about the game. and a lot of it was based on the fact that I didn't care that I had the twist spoiled for me by a friend of mine by accident. And I'm realizing I was so stupid that I didn't even realize that the game actually spoils it in its own title. So just another point of how dumb I am. Resident Evil 7. It's number 13. When I think back of Resident Evil 7, playing it on Twitch this year, I just have fond memories. It's not like it's an explicitly like amazing game. I think it's just that I remember it being a giant spooky roller coaster that occasionally made me burst out laughing. I absolutely dreaded playing it in my downtime, but it helped click how I could experience these type of games, and it is through the medium of broadcast gameplay. It was just good. It was the first genuinely scary game I had played in a long time that I survived. Opened the door for a bunch of the later ones that I played. Yes, Harry was there to see it, and Harry's company also a good part of the reason why I enjoyed it so much. Harry and Neil and Colin and Lawrence and all the friends we had, all the times we shared. It was crazy days, crazy fun stream. Hopefully do something like that Halloween time next year. Just have fond memories of it. It was dreadfully exhausting. And by the end of it, I'd never felt such relief from having beaten the game. I felt great relief from beating Dark Souls. But Resident Evil 7, that was something else. That was like life or death, exhaustion. Doom 2016 is number 12. For 3 years, I'd shrugged Doom 2016 off. I say 3 because obviously I didn't own it in 2016. I owned it in 2017. Unless you're dead certain of their quality, never buy a game the year of release, people. FOMO is not a good reason. See the Animal Crossing entry. And panic fan worship is not a good reason. See the Persona 5 entry. But 2020 was the year that I at last conquered the Crystal Lizards to some extent. I kept them at bay and stopped letting trophy hunting and achievement hunting ruin my gameplay experiences. And Doom was one of its many victims because I refused to let a single secret go unchecked. I refused to let any of the optional suggested mini activities you could do while you're playing the game go undone. So I would stop enjoying myself just to try and tick these boxes at every opportunity. And it's just not a way to play this fucking game. It's antithetical to playing Doom. Persona 5 broke me down. It made me show how legitimately diminishing trophies were at that time, and Doom was the first game to show me also fuck trophies. You're missing out on amazing experiences by hopefully clinging to them forever. Harry says Doom Eternal had 2 achievements that simply wouldn't pop for me, and that hurts. That is a horrible experience. I had the same thing happen to me for Prince of Persia, the remake with Nolan North, the scarf one with the claw hand. The very last bronze was based on implementing a very, very long combo, a specific combo that you had to enter. It was the longest combo in the game. You had to memorize it, and it came down to finite timing to get it to register. Not to, like, you can complete the combo perfectly, but it would judge you on like a very specific part that didn't follow up the way it liked, even though it flowed, the same combo flowed exactly how you would imagine it flowing, and it wouldn't give me it. And I literally spent like 3 full days just doing the same combo. Like, I learned it off by heart just to get a trophy. I should have known a lot earlier that trophies were bad. Anyway. Should have probably had the camera on a little more there. Doom was really, really fun. And as a victory for the brain that can beat the crystal lizards, that one was a truly inspiring experience. All right, number 11, Super Metroid. Just gotta put it out there. I think if we're looking at this list in terms of objectively best games, Super Metroid is maybe one of the best games I've ever played in my life. I think it is objectively one of the best designed games I've ever played. There was not a moment, not a wasted second of playing it. I can see why a million games have tried to play the exact same game, try to make the exact same thing happen, because it's just so like mathematically devised. It's generous, but it's also like forgiving, and it gives you a Metroidvania, but it also gives you like a map that fills out based on your experiences and hints at where next to go. That doesn't feel too vague. Anyway, it just feels great to play. It's just atmospherically wonderful. It's impeccably designed. You get so much stuff that actually impacts gameplay in manageably memorable and interesting ways. And there's so much stuff crammed into it, I never even got it all by the end. It's just ridiculous. Harry says I agree, and so with many others, I think. Yeah, it's not what I would say a super surprising best game ever made. But it is one that I think I'll just to show you how bad this list works, I think is also why the most objectively best game I've ever played is only number 11. And this is where taste really takes over, because there's a list of games that I have better experiences with, and I think the mind swell from playing something that is genuinely wonderfully designed does not necessarily equate for exceptionally wonderful experience. You know, I don't know how that makes any doesn't make a sense. You know, there are more catered experiences to the person you are and the things you like that can elevate a game with worse design over a game with just impeccable, never waste a second design. What can you say? We made it to the top 10. And here is the game that's both an outlier. It's the only one in the top 10 that I haven't finished. And it's also the soundtrack to everything we've been listening to while I've been talking. That game is Atomic Runner. Kind of cheating a little bit, because I'm not even done with it, and it's an immaculate game. It's so good, and I'm not sure I'll ever beat it, but I'm going to keep trying, because I think Atomic Runner is just light years ahead of its time. Wait, that's a distance. Parsecs. Time ahead of its time. In terms of auto runner, mobile phone, wallet emptying, distracting mobile phone games. Mobile phone, throw it in for a third time. What if those games had substance? Had an amazing design, had a memorable story and characters. Not because it's like heart-wrenching, but because it's kitsch, campy crap. I love Atomic Runner. I love everything it stands for. I love its soundtrack. I love how the game plays. This mix of platforming and shoot-em-ups. I love the font so much that I stole it for everything at Vectormen related. You can't see it, but you see that Atomic Runner? I used that as the basis for all I used a facsimile of it, an approximation of it for everything that that has been released branded with Vectormen, because I just goddamn love it so much. And I loved all the concepts in Atomic Runner so much that I tried to name the podcast based on that. Tried to name it Deftarian Speak, because the villains in the game are called Deftarians, and I thought that was fucking hilarious. Lawrence is right, though. It was Lawrence's idea to not go with that. And then he pitched a bunch of better names. First he pitched a terrible name, Sockfoot Pick, as another cool reference to an old game. But then he pitched actually good names, like Prattle Toads. That could have been a good show name. Star Fantasists. I was kind of ready to cling to that one. And then That's How It Is in This Bitch of an Earth. It's a good title for like a BBC drama hosted by like a mid-weight comedian. L&L's Waffle House. That could probably be the name for the tenuous question segment, now that I think about it. But Vectorman was the one that I once suggested by Lawrence. It was like the one instantly had no reason to debate. Anyway, Atomic Runner. It reminds me of all the things good about this year. Reminds me of a period of time where I was just trying to find bullshit games and have fun. You ever like dig through a bargain bucket of games? You pray to God one of them is good. Atomic Runner was the one good game in the bucket. BioShock Infinite is number 9. And finally, something I've already talked about in depth. So, don't have to really talk about it all that much. Months later, still very happy with BioShock Infinite. I think it ties itself up very neatly. Leaves you a great deal to ponder, smack the lips at. Soft, spongy memories of its not incredible gunplay get washed away with the recesses of time. This was the first game I had played in a long while that reminded me that there really isn't anything quite like a solid story-heavy single-player experience. I'd played Titanfall 2 back in 2019, and that woke me up after a long haze of playing Overwatch and games like that. That I was like, oh, you know what? I actually like stories in shooters again. And then Doom months prior was like, oh man, I just like playing shooters and games that are just me getting good at something. And then BioShock Infinite came along, and then just blew them all away. And now I'm eyeballing games like the Metro series and Dishonored, and Dead Space and Prey, because I've missed out on so much. Ultimately, this year the only way I followed that up was I played Resident Evil 7, which was maybe a bit more out there than those ones. But the Fury holds good, and hopefully play. I don't know if I've planned to play a lot of those type of games next year, but I'm looking forward to playing more. Pretentious or no, BioShock Infinite instilled my faith, reinstilled I should say, my faith in narrative games. I've ran out of throat unclogging juice. Which I lost that faith, I think, based on Metal Gear Solid 5. I think I blame it quite a bit for showing me that next-gen game design has robbed us of complete and well-thought narratives. And linear, exciting gameplay segments, actual thought level design challenge, which was just absent in that game. You know, I was very sick of the open world series of games by that point, and Metal Gear Solid 5 showed me there was no highlight to be found. Also Uncharted 4 was like the second kick in the teeth. I still think I like that one, but I mean, it kind of signaled to me that, you know, if a game is going to have a story, it can no longer be a fun one. A trend that has mostly stayed true with games. But yeah. Bioshock Infinite reinstilled my faith that those games could still be out there. They might just be a bit older. Or they might just be a bit weirder. And I need to look past the Uncharted's and the Metal Gear Solids to find them. Which, I mean, should be pretty easy. Every other game is not those. Number 8 is Devil May Cry 5. The best in the series. As Tim Rogers deems it. The holy grail of trash. And he's right. I mean, I've completely forgotten what the hell I said about it in the podcast, but it just felt spectacularly good to play. It just trimmed all the fat away. And it felt like the culmination of a massive journey. Like playing Devil May Cry games from 1 to 5 just in time to hit number 5's release was the best decision that could have been made. Unfortunately, all the people who had to wait in years wondering if they'd ever just make a straight up Dante game again. Meanwhile, I was over here getting excited about Nero because I like him. It's a real good game. Number 7 is The Witcher. I feel like I talked about this just very recently in extensive depth. I've got 3 pages of notes here I'm not going to read. Just cutting to a point where I think, did I say anything that would be like new information? Here's one. Here's a bit of information. I played The Witcher 3. The first time I played it in hard mode. And I've got to stop doing that. I've got to stop playing games in hard mode. I also played Link's Awakening in hard mode. And then had to restart it and play it again in normal mode. Not easy mode. Don't play games in hard mode straight off the bat. That's all I've got to say. The Witcher, that has nothing to do with The Witcher. I talked about The Witcher recently on the podcast. I love The Witcher. It just showed me that even the jankiest of jank could still be a really fun, memorable experience that stays with you. I'm nostalgic for it already. I miss its world. But luckily for me, they turned out to make sequels to it, so problem solved. Number 6 is Among Us. Future philosophers are going to fucking love 2020. How lucky that a year where individuals had to stay inside to burn away time. The philosophers are going to have no problem making their case studies for human psychology when the moment we no longer had each other's company in person, the thing we all flooded to was a backstabbing simulator. If you don't think that Among Us deserves its time in the spotlight in 2020 and beyond, I have no time for you. You may exit. This game finally delivers somewhat awkwardly what people have been begging for years. And what's more, so blinded was the world before the Great Gamer Girl bathwater spilled that it didn't realize it already had Among Us. It was already done. It was out there in 2018. It's a legitimately great game, as many great games float right this second on Steam unacknowledged. It was just done. It was done and it was out there and it was perfect. And we only caught it at the end. I mean, even I can get an anthropology degree off the back of how easy this fucking shit is. Number 5 is Hyperspace Outlaw. I think there are very few games that legitimately haunt me in my life, but Hypnospace Outlaw is one of them. Now every time I see a very niche online music trend with a core of super dedicated backers, I think about the cool punk scene in this game, the music scene, and think about how it kind of split apart and how incredible the writing in the game truly was to nail that kind of low-key music culture so hard. This was the year Maria and I stumbled upon Bardcore on YouTube. Don't know if you've heard about that. A small scene of people who make like lute covers and medieval covers of with medieval instruments of like pop songs. And my mind went straight to Hypnospace Outlaw's cool punk scene, just in how they got on, how there were like scenes developing within that scene immediately. Like it became like hardcore barcore, metal barcore. It was already splintering out. They were becoming kind of bardcore snobs, people who truly got it, man. And that's all in this game. How those communities come, how they split apart, it's already in there. Every time I see a hardcore religious or right-wing sect online completely missing a joke, or feeling like they're being assaulted just because in day-to-day lives they often occupy a safe majority and the idea of being online is scary because they're not always there. That reminds me of the Good Time Valley forums in Hypnospace Outlaw. And I just think about how they flip the fuck out about having one of their characters copyright struck, and they mounted protests, violent online protests, while all in the same cynical product world. You know, kind of like the backlash to like companies with progressive messages, that kind of stuff. It's just really, really good. And every time I see a weird online text-based RPG, every time a lo-fi hip-hop song gets too heady and throws too many lyrics out there, man. Every time a rich tech CEO attempts to count themselves amongst the common man, etc., 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 etc. There's just so much stuff that Hypnospace Outlaw got right and made part of the narrative. And I'd say it's so worth playing just to see how like close it is to an alternate reality, and still being really funny, and still being a really, really great game design. It's just like it's impeccable. Just impeccable. And it just sticks with you. Here it is, folks. Game of 2020. Hades. Number 4. Which is to genuinely say the best game I played that came out of 2020 wasn't the best game I played this year. Not as a slight to Hades, though. I wouldn't say that. No. From the outside looking in, and especially with all the pressure on it from its rubbing shoulders with the big boys at the gaming Oscars this year, Hades makes a surprisingly difficult case to defend as a massive Game of the Year contender, which is why I'm not going to. Let me just say that Hades, for me, was a game. Is a game. I'm still playing it. For me, Hades is a game that kept my head spinning. Kept me wanting to write fan fiction. I think about its kind of trashy, fast-paced, mix and match combat design, and I do think it's bare bones and a little not systemically wonderful. I would rather call it, the bare bones underneath it is certainly the predictable straightforwardness that is the salt of life, as no one says. But and I guess that means I am starting to defend it a little bit, or at least criticize it. But I just think every time I play it, I have a real damn good time. I feel like all the systems tie together to such a greater whole, and all the characters and all the conversations loop back in infinitely into themselves, that 2020 is not the year of Hades, because Hades is a game that I'm going to end up playing every year for years and years at some point or another, on and on. It's just going to rest on my Switch, and anytime I'm on a long bus ride or something, or a long fucking plane trip, or I'm on holiday and there's nothing to do, I'm just going to play Hades for half an hour, a run or two, and just chip away at it forever and ever. After I beat the story part of it, beat the main the first completed run was the part where I could finally say, yes, I have beat Hades, but I was never done with it, and I will not be done with it. So it's a wonderful game, and I recommend it, and I imagine I would have liked it even if I had played all the games from 2020. I would have liked it more than all the rest anyway, because it kind of ticks the box a lot harder than they do. Maybe if I had played Final Fantasy VII, the remake, if I played the original, then the remake this year, I might have ended up liking the remake for trashier reasons. But Hades, game of 2020, calling it. Dark Souls is number 3. Uh-oh. The top of this list is going to be fucking terrible, isn't it? Dark Souls makes stomach-wrenching sycophants of us all. What to say? I think I will say this. Dark Souls is a video game snob's game. Simping for Dark Souls, I think it's a snob's game. I think we all want to have part of the gaming conversation be about what art is and what's the best that games have to offer. And I think when we turn to Dark Souls, we're thinking exactly what the ultimate potential of games are. Something that just doesn't work in any medium whatsoever and still has its own elements about it that are just perfect. And I think rightly so, Dark Souls sits atop that throne. And we're all made sycophants in its fucking shadow. No wonder we spent the last 10 years making other Dark Souls games. People who made Dark Souls tired out of making Dark Souls games, trying their best to get away from making Dark Souls games, knowing that they can't really get too far, or threaten to lose everything. And every other company in the world, anyone interested in game design, immediately excited to make Dark Souls themselves. I think you when you say all that stuff, you have to realize that those are conversations that are snobs conversations, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that when you approach people and you're like, what's the best game? Oh, you've got to try Dark Souls. You know, it's a 60-hour opus into the fundamental heart of video game as an art form. You know, it's great. It's hard, but if you stick with it, you'll see the beauty of video games laid bare. That's when you've crossed the line. That's when you're no longer talking. You just want to accept your art form, the thing you love, to be accepted. That's why you get them to play Uncharted 4 instead of the other Uncharted's, because it's the one that's meaningful and artsy. But Uncharted 4 is the snob Uncharted. And Dark Souls is the snob beating heart of video games. And then you force it on people and they don't like it. They're right. They shouldn't. It's a snob's game. It's for video game snobs. But if you have a friend like me, like Lawrence does, you should force it on people like me. Like, if you have somebody who's played a bunch of games of all different types of genres, all different years, and has no pretension to liking pretentious crap, you should get them to play Dark Souls. It should be your duty to get them to play Dark Souls. Because they could be a snob like you. And you'll be happier for it. You'll both be happier for it. But if, they're family and they just like playing Uncharted, just let them play Uncharted. Let them play the good ones. Let them play the early ones, the Amy Hennig ones. I'm really, 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 really glad I got to play Dark Souls this year. I mean, I think it came out in the same year as Uncharted 2, and I would put Uncharted 2 ahead of it. So it was never going to be number one, no matter what year. But I love Dark Souls, and I think my only snobby idea for Dark Souls is that 40 years down the line, I still think we can make a better Dark Souls. I think we can make one that's not as mean. Still hard. Still have to channel your brain to think about it. But we can make a better one. One that's less prohibitive. And I don't mean make Dark Souls again. I mean just take its philosophy and make a game as pure as Dark Souls. It's not Dark Souls. What the fuck am I talking about? Let's move on. Number 2 is Return of the Obra Dinn. God, number 1 must be fucking terrible. And you're right. It might even be a joke, but you're wrong. Return of the Obra Dinn. Return of the Obra Dinn is a Dark Souls of puzzle games. Good. There it is. I'm a critic now. Low-key spoiler for the top 5 of the list. It was important to have a limited but interconnected place. A world to be a part of. That really just excels. That just elevates a game for me in my head. If I feel like I'm game tourism, I'm all over the place. It's a wonderful experience. And also, thumbs up if you've got the ocean in it, like the sun glinting off the ocean. Even it doesn't matter if it's remarkably. It could be literally 2 colors, and I'd still think it's wonderful. That goes a long way to making my favorite games. Sonic Unleashed is maybe my favorite 3D Sonic game. It's not even half good. Its opening level has the sun reflecting off the water, and every time I play it, I'm just so happy. Most importantly, though, I loved Obra Dinn because it was just damn convincing. Is that all I have to say about it? I don't know. It's just like a world that is perfectly realized. It's a puzzle that's perfect. And, it's also a game that, while pretentious, isn't a snob's game. I'd say you can recommend this to your family. And that goes a little bit further than me, because I'm a bit trashy at heart. I'm a bit... I recommended this. I showed Maria, my wife Maria, some gameplay of that, and she was actually excited about it. She said she'd play it someday. And that's like... Yeah, that's what games are. They can be accessible and a little pretentious. Murder mystery in a pirate period format with a time travel device is still accessible. That's wonderful. I fucking love this game. I had a hard time not putting it number 1 on the basis that it's just perfect. It is a perfect game. It is perfectly made. But unfortunately, I had a better time with one of the game. So even though I will talk about Obra Dinn in open conversation to make myself sound smart for the rest of my life and tuned in to good game design, I will have to privately whisper that the year that I played it, I preferred something else that was far, far lower brow. And I have to quietly live with that over my head for the rest of my life. Number 1. We're finally there. How long did we get to? 3 hours? 15 minutes. Not so bad. With a summary and some additional lists, we're looking at a 4-hour max on this, so good stuff. Far less than the 5 hours I had predicted. Maybe because I didn't end up reading most of the stuff I had written. For better and for worse. My number 1 game of 2020 is Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. It's not even a joke. I think the greatest truth I learned about myself this year is that I unabashedly love inspirational trash. Danganronpa is not only anime as fuck, in that buried not even that deep beneath its dark, depraved story of childhood murder is one of intense hope for humanity's existence, even in the bleakest, most surreal of scenarios. And I'm not saying this as like an analogy to 2020. I actually had a pretty good 2020. I've had a lot of worse years than 2020. So this is not like one of those soppy game of the times kind of thing. I would have loved this game no matter what year I played it in. I don't know if it would always be number 1. Persona 5 would have beat it out in 2017. But it would have been, you know, number 3 under Breath of the Wild. Danganronpa is trash as fuck. Fucking weep, says Lords. Yeah. This is an airport thriller of a game. It's a B-movie slasher horror with the equivalent expectations and character writing. It is Ace Attorney, already an airport thriller itself, and already also trash, with the angst turned right the fuck up, while keeping all the over-the-top tropes and humor basically exactly where they were, regardless if it makes sense, regardless if it's tonally incoherent. Danganronpa is also my trash, and it's the best game I've played all year that was tailored explicitly for me. Not to say that there aren't really good elements in here that aren't trash. The mysteries here are genuinely engaging. Yeah, I mean, like, only like the first 2 require a little bit of moon logic to beat. After that, it gets really, really good. And to be fair, they use the moon logic and one of those Ace Attorney scenarios where the only way to solve the case is somebody slipping up on information. They use that, but they use it to drag the most cynical character out into the open and set up the groundwork for his arc in the game. So it's actually shockingly well written as well, but in a trashy way all the same. You know, it's very much trash. Yeah. How long to go on? How long to go on about it? Not to say that there aren't genuinely good. Yeah. Not to say there's not genuinely good parts of the game. But there's no getting past the fact that its main villain is a cartoon mascot in a school prison scenario to create genuine horror, which it manages to do, even with those surreal elements. It does get slightly existential in that I am 14 and very deep. I am 14 and this is very deep kind of way. But also, I don't care. It's the anime trash that was made solely for those who can stomach it. It's surprisingly saccharine story, hiding just beneath the gloomy surface level. It's remarkably dumb attempts at fan service, and its gotcha main narrative designed only to shock you in an M. Night Shyamalanian style, which is the exact style I like, and I make no bones about it. And its dumb Power Ranger of the Week villain, the real villain, the true villain. It's like a visual novel for with a gun format, just to keep the ADHD kids, paying attention, and a friendship system that they don't even actually properly implement. It's not even like finished. And with all that, I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. I think about it all the time. I think about its characters all the time. It's dumb. How it won me over. How good the story ended up being. And I think that my game of the year couldn't be my game of the year if it wasn't a little bit trash. Like, I think that just it just fits. You know, like, Persona 5 would have been my game of the year in 2017, as I've said. And Persona 5 is anime trash as well. Like, its story is really, really dumb. And Sonic games would have always ranked quite high. And, you know, the core of being a good Sonic fan, enjoying Sonic games, is knowing that they're all kind of not great. Uncharted 2 is also fundamentally the best AAA game ever made. And it's popcorn thriller, action. Hot takes for later write-ups, I think. Anyway, last thought. Another game this year had me scrambling to purchase its immediate sequels in anticipation of watching the anime adaptation because that's where they've hidden the canonical follow-up to the first game. The bastards. That is the makings of a number one. And that's our list. That's all 102. And now, the best and worst games of every release year, of every game I just covered on this list. We're going from 1990 to 2020 with the best and worst games of every year. Because we're not here long enough, are we? It's good. It's worth it. Thank you, Harry, for the for the cop-out intriguing. You don't need to be on my side, man. It's okay. There are definitely better games for everyone. Intriguing content, Lee. Oh, how embarrassing. Alright. 1990. How did I get this? Alright. 1990. Best game, Space Harrier 2. Worst game, Altered Beast. There was only 2 games on that list. Maybe I should put it on the screen. Let's put it on the screen. No, the cat's in the way, so I can't zoom in on this shit. Lawrence bows out of the endurance contest. Agreed. Best idea. Here we go. Let's burn through it. Thanks for joining me. Alright, here we go. Space Harrier 2 is the best. I've put the best at the top, and this is the ranking. Altered Beast. That's the worst. 1990. There's Sonic the Hedgehog there. There's Crackdown. Fuck Crackdown, right? Atomic Runner. Ecco the Dolphin. Gunstar Heroes is the best and worst of 93. This is the perfect idea of how Metroidvanias. This is the perfect dichotomy in my head right there. Sonic Labyrinth is better than Mario Picross. Confirmed. Put your fan competitions away. Yes, this is all in Google Docs. I wrote most of it on a laptop and needed it to be easy to transfer. Super Mario 64 is better than Final Fantasy 7. Confirmed. Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 is the best and worst thing that happened in 2004. Devil May Cry 3 is the best and worst thing that happened in 2005. The Witcher is way better than Super Mario Galaxy. That's fundamentally untrue. Devil May Cry 4 is better than Ace Attorney 3. Bayonetta. Better than King of Fighters 13. Yeah. Dark Souls is better than Halo. Bioshock is better than Sonic Lost World. Danganronpa is better than 80 Days. Armello is the best game of 2015. It's kind of surprising, that one. Doom is better than Wheels of Aurelia. I would hope so. Resident Evil 7, better than Middle Earth. Shadow of War. Return of the Obra Dinn, better than Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. Hypnospace Outlaw is better than Remnant from the Ashes. It's correct. Hades. 2020 list. Hades is the best game of 2020. And the worst game is Hyperscape. Even here, I got it wrong. It's Hyperscape. And finally, a summary. Don't read that. Let me read it for you. Come back over here. And zoom out a little. Gotta prepare myself. I've done too much. Anyway, a summary. Cool as it was to have I only wrote this today anyway. Cool as it was to have a cool list of 102 games. I will definitely not be doing that next year. As in, I think you've seen how many of them were like trashy throwaway gimmick games that I played for no reason or impulsively. I think that looking forward to the next year, it was looking at this list. If you've seen the top 20, there were only 2 that weren't completed games made the top 20. Completing games might be the way to make better experiences from playing games. Just a wild thought. Even the games that you don't know, or you don't think are going to be good, are better off beating more times than not. And that's not how I've approached games in the past, and it is now how I will have to now approach games in the future. So next year I'm going to play less games, but I'm going to spend more time beating them. So like when I get to this portion of the thing in 2021, it's going to be wildly shorter, but it's also going to be, and there's going to be less in it, but it's going to be more substantial, I think, because the games that I'll have played, well, I'll have actual feelings about, not, before the 40 mark or something. Might not make for better jokes. I'm not sure if this made for good jokes, but that was what it was, and that will do it. So thanks for checking this out. Thanks for checking out the all 102 games ranked that I played in the year. Thanks Harry. Thanks Lawrence. Keeping me company in the chat. And here's the 2021 year of the JRPG, as I've already promised on the show. Yeah. If somehow you're actually watching this, because I made it for me, so it's not really for anybody. But if somehow you've bothered watching this, check out Vectormen podcast, where the takes are far better, and the delivery far funnier. Oi. Good night.